Good morning. I'd like to call this meeting to order of it's a joint board meeting of the San Joaquin Hills Transportation Corridor Agencies and Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor Agency. And I would like to start with an invocation from Vice Chair Shea and then the Pledge of Allegiance led by Director Murphy.
Please bow your heads. God, we just ask that you would be with us today, give board members wisdom and understanding of how to oversee this agency. I just ask that you would bring peace in our communities and that you would help us understand one another's positions and ideas, and that we might come to consensus over the years that we are planning our toll road as we move forward. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. You can remain standing, place your hands over your hearts, and join me in the salute to the flag of this great nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That brings us to our roll call, if we could, Madam Clerk.
Chair Chun,
Here.
Director Foley, Director Piotr, Director Vixarek,
Here.
Alternate Heft,
Here.
Alternate Connors, Alternate Genoway,
Present.
Director Beal,
Here.
Director Huang, Director Moreno, Director Mueller,
Here.
Director Murphy,
Here.
Director Voits,
Here.
Alternate Bilodeau,
Present.
Chair Sachs,
Here.
Vice Chair Shea,
Yes.
Director Bartlett,
Here.
Director Marriott,
Here.
Director Spitzer, Director Tinajero, Director Ward. We have quorum on both.
Thank you very much. For this morning's meeting, we're going to start off with a swearing in of a new alternate director, Elaine Genoway from the city of Laguna Niguel. Director Genoway, if you could join me by the flag. Thank you. Now that brings us to our number 3 on the agenda, which is public comment. And I would just mention that we have a number of requests to speak. So the way we're going to organize this today to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to speak is, all right, I'm looking at the clock, is at 9:40. So what we're going to do is take as many comments as we can for 20 minutes. And then once the 20 minutes is over, we need to proceed with the agenda and then come back to the public comment so that everyone has an opportunity to speak. Because we do have a couple of items that are time sensitive on the agenda. And what I'd like to do is to call the first speaker and then name the next 2 speakers so they can be prepared to come up and make their statements. So our first speaker is Kathleen Bruin, and Kathleen will be Kathleen will be followed by Vaughn Barnes and Tom Barnes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
may I make a suggestion too that maybe we go 2 minutes instead of 3 so we make sure we get everybody out there?
Things have been timed for 3.
We prepared for 3 minutes.
Mr. Chair, you still have more people that be able to speak if you limited it to 2.
Can I ask a question too, why it's 20 minutes and not 30 minutes? Public
Well,
speaking?
20 minutes was the time we established before, when we had a large number of speakers. Does the board feel that we can go 30 minutes and then pick up after the next set of agenda items?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So, because a lot of people who are here and they're spending the time out of their day, this is probably an inconvenience for a lot of people who have to take time off from work they read our rules and they saw that you can speak for 3 minutes. Most people come prepared to speak, right? But they need to understand under our rules, our own internal rules, the chair has the discretion to limit speakers and reduce that amount of time. But given the fact that this is probably a new experience for these people, I would ask two things. Give them the 3 minutes. We are actually here because almost all of us are elected. We all are, right, except for maybe a public member. I don't even think we have a public member on this board, do we? So I would indulge us to sit here and listen to as many speakers for 3 minutes. And it will permeate out in the community that if in the future more people show up, then we may have to limit it, and we could kind of post that maybe ahead of time, that we have that discretion. But I think today we should hear them out.
There any objections to that? Yeah, yes, Dr. Bartlett.
Right. I just want to make sure that, I know we have some really time-sensitive things on our agenda today. If we have a lengthy public comment section, which I'm not opposed to, I just want to make sure that we don't start losing board members and losing quorum to vote on the items. So if you could take a poll amongst the board members on the time that they need to leave the meeting today, so make sure that all of the items on the agenda are addressed with the members able to vote. Thank you.
Do any of the directors have a hard stop time this morning? I know the last time, starting at 11:30, we started losing directors until 1:30 when we were down to 4. You do?
I have noon. 11:30.
So we have 28 speakers.
We've already spent 10 minutes talking about this.
So the last time we had 13 speakers and we went till 1:30 in the afternoon. But that's also dependent on how many agenda items we have, and we do have a big agenda today. So why don't we do this? We'll take the 3 minutes because everyone has that expectation. We'll go 20 minutes, and then let's take a look at how far along we are. But at this point, I think we are going to have to move the balance to after our business is conducted on the board. And if this is, are you Kathleen?
I am.
Okay, so please begin.
All right. Good morning. My name is Kathleen Bruin. I live in San Clemente. I teach in Ladera Ranch community of Mission Viejo, and my students matriculate to Tesoro and San Juan Hills High Schools. We are not going to tolerate time savings and fuel savings at the cost of our communities. That's inappropriate. The fix to this whole problem is actually very simple, but it's a matter of keeping vocal. We're really serious down here in South Orange County. My comments today are about the TCA Public Forum held June 5th. Several issues about that meeting are of serious concern, which I believe go to demonstrate that the public input process is flawed and residents are disenfranchised. The number of invitations to residents of Orange County in relation to the size of the venue was clearly not balanced. The requirement to RSVP to a public meeting, the screening process and removal of personal property or a sheriff would intervene. This happened to me. I had a hat on that had the word no on it. I was told to remove my hat. I did. I put it in my bag. The screener said, no, you must remove the sign. When I questioned her, she called over a sheriff. In order to access the meeting, I did take the sign off of my hat. The option to videotape input only to find out that the release form states Get Moving OC can modify without restrictions or limitations. The number of badged employees and volunteers in seats while citizens were waitlisted or in an overflow room. Audiovisual equipment that did not work, limiting the participation of citizens in the overflow room and those watching at home. The perceived screening of questions and comments by the moderator, and there is video of card shuffling. Non-answers to questions, it needs further study or it's in process, were the mantras of the evening. Or flat out actually not answering a direct question, even when asked about a route, actually taking out the sports fields at our San Clemente High School. Mr. Cramen said the route would need to be studied. Why is the TCA not concerned about the state laws and setback requirements for schools and tollways? Why would a route be studied when harm to our school-age children would clearly occur? It is not a line on a map. You already have renderings of what it would look like at the 5 and Pico at the high school. These are your maps. The example that really sticks out in my mind is the question asking if anyone making a decision would be affected by any of the proposed routes. It was a simple yes or no question, yet Mr. Cramen did not provide a yes or no answer. Thomas Sewell said, it is hard to imagine a more stupid or more dangerous way of making decisions than by putting those decisions in the hands of people who pay no price for being wrong. And that is exactly the scenario we have here. We keep hearing, trust the process, participate in the process. Well, when there is no public representation, participation is stifled, or the process is not based on traffic studies and data, it's a bad process. No routes through any town, and stop this process that
If you
has
could wrap
no
up.
merit now.
Thank you. So next up is Von Barnes.
And she's passing out items that were not allowed to be sent in for your board packets. Each of you will have those in a moment. So I'll wait till you have it. All right, I'm Vonnie Barnes, president of Rancho San Clemente's Master Association, representing 14 homeowners associations and 5,000 residents. You have before you, or will, the Rancho San Clemente's resolution opposing the toll road through Rancho San Clemente. With many key points, I can only address one today. The geologic map of landslide areas along the toll road route, and the artistic rendering of option 14 at Pico and the I-5. Please enter these documents into the minutes and permanent record, as the TCA did not allow them to be included in your board packets or to be shown on the large screen for board review. Toll road option 14 at Pico and the I-5 needs to be eliminated on factual information. The specific plan geologic map from the soil study conducted by Irvine Soils Engineering verifies that over 50% of the land consists of landslide areas. You can see right there on the map, it says LS, and it's devoid of bedrock. This includes slope areas along both sides of Avenida Pico, and this is why San Clemente has not constructed anything on these landslide areas. Neither should the TCA. On the geologic map, the black line with the arrow at the end runs along Pico. It ends at the I-5. Landslide areas, again, on both sides of Picos are identified with the letters LS. The route intends to fly over the Pico into these areas that are landslides on both sides and connect to the I-5. And please note the earthquake fault lines. Those are shown as dotted broken lines. Residents recently filed a lawsuit against Caltrans Flatiron in the city of San Clemente for structural damages to their homes from the I-5 lane widening project. Shock waves from pile driving and demolition and grading into the unstable land areas have caused land to shift beneath the homes, causing structural damages that may exceed millions of dollars. I have the case number here if anybody is interested. If adding one lane to the north side of the I-5 damages homes, it is highly likely that construction of a massive 4 to 6 lane toll road along these landslide areas will cause structural damages to many more homes, and lawsuits will skyrocket against the TCA. Please remove toll road option 14 and focus on feasible arterial routes. No to toll road option 14.
Thank you. And next up is Tom Barnes.
Members of the board, using the Transportation Corridor Agency's visual map to assess the TCA's various plans for the toll road's extension is tantamount to looking through the wrong end of binoculars. The details are so small they are mere specks, or they are non-existent. There are no details, and we all know the devil is in the details. Now, this map, prepared by my wife, gives you details. If it's not correct, we'd like to see your map that makes corrections on this. If the TCA's goal is to keep the public uninformed, they are succeeding. Public meetings are held by TCA PR flags to get input, but the public is denied the right to provide input. No oral comments were allowed from the public, only screen questions or after-the-fact verbal recordings with no value. No oral comments were allowed from the public. No chance to present visual material, as these were not allowed at the Saddleback College meeting. Visual presentations are also not allowed at the TCA board meetings. You might want to study how the Coastal Commission conducts their meetings to understand how visual representation should be allowed. In fact, they should be encouraged. It is time for the TCA to provide accurate and realistic visuals, including diagrams and maps, for each of the 18 options, beginning with option 14. Until 14 is discussed and then removed, there cannot be a realistic assessment of viable alternatives. San Clemente is already divided by the I-5 freeway. To divide it again by the toll road into 4 quadrants is similar to the medieval practice of drawn and quartering to assure death. It will complete the desecration of our Spanish village by the sea. A friend of mine from Mission Viejo asked me, how come they're always trying to pick on San Clemente? I said, I don't know. I guess they don't like our Spanish village by the sea. Both democracy and transparency are sorely lacking in the toll road agencies. Draconian rules regarding public input. My wife was accosted when she went into the meeting at Saddleback, and they told her she couldn't take this into the meeting. Now, to me, that's a First Amendment violation. So I think you should get your act in order if you're going to ask for public input and have some procedures that do not violate the First Amendment. How can you claim to welcome public input when your restrictive rules and regulations discourage it? A true dialogue is needed, not a sham one. Your policies only convince the public, and this is what they believe, that the fix is in.
Thank you. So Joanna Matthews is next. So after Joanna Matthews will be Kathy Dennehy and Mary Franta. Go
Hi
ahead,
there.
please.
Hi there, I'm Joanna Matthews, a proud homeowner in San Clemente. San Clemente is indeed a natural wonder that should be protected along with San Juan Capistrano, Ladera Ranch, and Rancho Mission Viejo. San Clemente is a historic city founded by Ole Hansen in 1925. He purchased and designed a 2,000-acre community. He believed that the beautiful beaches and pleasant climate would serve to Californians tired of the big city. Referring to the way he would develop the city, he said, "I have a clean canvas, and I'm determined to paint a clean picture, my San Clemente by the sea." San Clemente has wonderful schools my 2 children attend, churches, senior centers, a library, and his community center that my daughter just did her second dance recital at. Beautiful hills and open spaces with trails, incredible views, Casa Romantica that was completed in 1928 and now a cultural center and gardens, historic homeowners, the Western White House that Nixon resided in, rare and unique birds, watersheds, and of course our beaches that world-class surfers use. Clearly by now you know that San Clemente opposes all toll roads. These toll road proposals, if built, would cause irreparable harm and literally destroy the natural beauty of my city, which is one of the reasons my family and I live here. What I described in terms of our natural wonder is what we want to preserve in the future. San Clemente City Council, as well as San Juan Capistrano and Ladera Ranch City Councils, and the developers of Rancho Mission Viejo have all stated opposition to the toll road through their cities, or in the case of Rancho Mission Viejo, it sees that the toll road would impact its neighboring cities immensely. Also, Congressman Issa, candidate for Congress applicant, Senator Bates, and Assembly Borough have opposed the current proposed toll road routes, as well, seeing that it would tear communities apart and affect quality of life. I attended the San Juan Capistrano City Council meeting last Tuesday, and I heard some passionate speakers fiercely oppose toll roads in their communities and asking for more aggression from the City Council. Those same concerns and worries were also evident at the so-called public forum that you held last Monday night. I was very proud of the representation that showed up, and it was clear people are pissed off at these ridiculous and desperate toll road proposals that would destroy our cities, our homes, our health, our environment, and overall quality of life. At the forum, we were told by TCA representatives that the cities would benefit from putting a toll road right through our cities just to go to the beach sometimes. I work in Newport Beach, and this toll road won't help daily commuters because it would miss major job centers. Well, let me tell you how we would benefit without a toll road. Our homes wouldn't be destroyed. We wouldn't see obnoxious toll road views, worry about soil changes and our house foundations being damaged, see decreased property values, breathe more pollution, hear more noise. In addition, without a toll road, environmental habitats and open space wouldn't be destroyed, wildlife wouldn't be displaced and end up on residential streets, and no risk of fires from cars. At one point in the mid-2000s, the green alignment was considered the preferred route because it avoided homes and businesses, avoided sensitive native habitat and wetlands, and was supported by San Clemente councilman and city. However, in 2009, San Clemente opposed any alignments that might bring the toll road through the city because it would severely alter residents' quality of life.
If you can are you wrapped up? Thank you. So that'll be Kathy, is it Dennehy?
She is not here.
She's not. Oh.
Oh. Oh.
And then after that will be Mary Franta.
Okay, so I'm a little new to the game here. I currently live in Gavilan, which is in the Sendero subdivision in Rancho Mission Viejo. And my husband and I am a native Californian, third generation, which you don't usually see a lot of those. I grew up in LA, but my husband and I moved down to Gavilan 2 years ago. We were told that we would be living on a working ranch. That was kind of the theme. That was all the brochures, showed the hiking trails, the biking trails, all that good stuff. Shortly after most of the homes in that area were sold, the first thing that went on our working ranch were the orange groves. They are now, and they were our forever orange groves. Like when you were learning about the community and everything was called the ranch, it's like, what about this, what about that? It's like, oh no, that's forever land, that's forever orange groves. Those are gone. It's now going to be Riata Glen, which is a memory care facility. And basically, I guess it ended up in Rancho Mission Viejo because it was rejected by other places. Now, we find ourselves fighting to keep our homes in Gavilan and the Sendero Ranch neighborhoods of Rancho Mission Viejo from being placed in a traffic triangle. Similar to what the people of San Clemente are talking about, we have right now, if you're not familiar with the area, Antonio, which is a 6-lane parkway to the east. We have Ortega Highway, which is to the south. And if you were to run the options 9 and 18, either one of those, through the back side, we would literally be in this triangle of major roads. Now, that is definitely not a ranch lifestyle, and I'm pretty sure all of you would agree that if you had bought into that, thought that's the lifestyle you were going to live, major, most important investment, which is your home, you would be shocked to find out that suddenly there could be a toll road going through your backyard. Initial estimates, and we actually, someone did a virtual reality type of thing that shows the road coming in within 40 feet of the Del Webb homes in Gavilan. Now, again, this would be, if you're familiar with the area, right between Covenant Hills and Gavilan, there is one steep hill up, that's it. There's no rolling mountain, nothing. At the bottom of the hill is a flood basin, and then at the top of the hill are the homes in Covenant Hill. On that hill, there is definitely concern. There are indications of mudslides over the years, and frankly, this last winter, it was a little scary as a resident going, I hope those hills hold, and I hope those basins work. Okay, well, I guess I'm done.
Yes, well,
but
thank you.
another time.
So that, the next speaker is Mary Franta, and then after Mary will be Tony Hayes and I believe it's Mark McGuire.
Okay, ready to begin. My name is Mary Franta, and I had to really cut down my speech today because I want to squeeze it in. I was at the meeting Monday, and you all invited me to come and participate and add my opinions to the mix. This is way too important an issue for me to sit at home and hope and pray somebody else will come in and speak on behalf of beautiful San Clemente. We do not want the toll roads. We don't need them. Toll roads do nothing to reduce freeway congestion. They only compound the problem. It's like the plumbing in your house. Here's an analogy for you. The plumbing in your house has drainage pipes, and they all lead to one main sewer pipeline, right? So, but if all the pipes that feed into the main line or the main line's clogged, the other pipes will be clogged as well. And that's exactly what the toll roads do. They just add to the clogged I-5. It doesn't solve the problem at all. I have two things I want to suggest. One, no toll roads through San Clemente. They're not going to help. Why not just extend the 241, extend it in the southeasterly direction behind Camp Pendleton? I've heard this suggestion many times. Have it run behind Pendleton in the back side of Fallbrook and have it link into the I-15 down south. This will offer an alternate north-south route to the I-5. It would be parallel to it. It would be located far more inland, and I think a lot more people would support this plan. Also, it would take the heat off Ortega Highway. If you've ever been out there at rush hour traffic, it is gridlock. I feel so sorry for people who have to take Ortega Highway home. And the second thing I wanted to really push is to strike the proposal 14, Toll Road. That one is absolutely the worst nightmare of an idea. Please strike proposal 14 today if you can. This is the one that plows through Pico and destroys the high school. It's the worst option ever. It actually rips up the football field of San Clemente High School. And if that isn't illegal, why isn't it illegal that we're going to subject the future of our children's education to some silly toll road that will not help traffic at all? So I just want to remind you, San Clemente is a unique place. We are the southernmost city in Orange County. There is only one freeway that travels south towards San Diego. We have to pass our neighbor, Camp Pendleton, which adds to our lovely isolation. We live in paradise. I want to protect it. This is why I moved to San Clemente in the first place. We're isolated. It's filled with beautiful natural wonder. If you spent any time here in San Clemente, you'll know exactly what I mean. You wake up, you look out the window, and there's usually a morning fog bank blanketing our beach town. It's damp in the mornings, but it's perfect weather to take a hike out in the outback of San Clemente. There are miles of trails to hike and bike around in and enjoy nature. Usually by afternoon, the sun will bake off the clouds and the ocean turns a glorious shade of turquoise blended
gonna
with
have to
royal
cut you off
sapphire
now.
blue. Anyway, I just want to remind you how beautiful San Clemente is, and please try to keep it beautiful. Thank you.
Next up is Mr. Hayes.
Good morning, board members. My name is Tony Hayes, live in San Clemente. 25 years ago, if we wanted to communicate with other people in writing, we sent letters, longhand. We put them in the mail. Now we send emails. The whole mode of communication has changed in one generation. The same is going to happen of personal transportation. Right now, how do we get around? We have a metal box which is stored in our house. We back it out of the garage. We drive it down the road. And then we go on the freeway and we spend a mindless half hour or so pointing it between two white striped lines, which is one, it takes absolutely no mental effort except for some concentration. It's the worst of all worlds. And then we park it, which takes up space at the destination. We leave it all day, and then in the evening, we reverse that whole process. And so personal cars take up space, they take up our time, they take up a lot of energy, and they also kill about 30,000 people a year. Any other mode of transportation that killed 30,000 people a year would not be tolerated. And I believe that within a generation or so, the concept of a personal car will go away, or at least be greatly reduced. And I think that the board needs to consider this because it will make a huge difference on the productivity of existing road system. For one thing, we will be able to do away with traffic lights. With automated vehicles, you will not need traffic lights anymore. Those are huge waste of time. And so the surface roads will be more productive so that transportation within towns will be on arterial and surface streets. And then there will still be roads, there will still be freeways, but the productivity of the freeways will also be greatly increased with automated transport. And this is going to happen. This is not something that might happen. It is going to happen. And I believe that the board needs to take this in serious consideration. Your planners need to consider that in one generation, and everything's moving much faster than we ever thought, there will be automated traffic on roads. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to Mr. McGuire.
Good morning, Chairman John and Chairman Sachs and directors of the TCAs. My name is Mark McGuire. I'm also a resident of San Clemente, where there is a lot of angst and anger right now. But I wanted to start by thanking each of you for your service to your cities and the county and serving as TCA directors. My former law partner and mentor, Dennis O'Neill, chaired the San Joaquin TCA while mayor of Newport Beach. Denny passed away this year. All who knew him admired his integrity, common sense, and commitment to always do the right thing. He was a religious man, and he asked this about each of his decisions as an elected representative. Am I doing right by my neighbor? How would I feel if I were in the shoes of those impacted? I believe former TCA Director O'Neill would say this to those of you serving on the Foothill Eastern TCA today. Are we really going to go down this new path trying to connect the 241 to I-5 through an established community? Since 1981, the route was always shown going outside of San Juan and San Clemente, connecting up to I-5 south of the county line. A long, expensive process established that route as our official preferred alternative, as well as the least environmentally damaging practicable alternative. We spent decades and nearly $200 million clearing every environmental hurdle, only to stumble on the last one. We bet on a certain horse, and we made others bet on that same horse by showing that alignment in their general plans, collecting fees, and ensuring right-of-way was dedicated for that alignment. Now we've given up on that horse. Whether that was wise or foolish, is it fair to now rob a city of its open space and sound planning efforts to pay for that failed bet we and our predecessors made? Are we treating our neighbors the way we would want to be treated? I was one of the freeway fighters that killed the Pacific Coast Freeway in the early 70s. I know that I and those of you from Dana Point would be very upset to see that revived, even though there is severe traffic at times on PCH. We each need to imagine a scenario where, after decades of showing a freeway alignment in one location near or through our town, the alignment dramatically shifted much closer to homes and through our community's preserved open space, parks, and schools. We would not want that. We don't need to spend years and tens of millions of dollars to determine that an extension through the heart of an established town at this late stage fails the most important test of all human conduct, the Golden Rule test. Please, let's leave Los Patrones a free road and work with all South County stakeholders to facilitate the appropriate arterial connections and improvements to enhance mobility adequately at far less cost to our neighbors and to us as well. God bless Denny O'Neill, and thank you for considering these comments.
Thank you. Well, that takes us past the 20 minutes that I had promised. So we have got 21 more speaker slips to address after we get through the balance of our agenda. So and the first two speakers will be Sandy Marquez and Jennifer Powers. And the last speaker is Desiree Ledoux, just so you know. And there are 21 of them that we will set aside until we get through our agenda, and then we will come back for more public comment. Thank you. I beg your pardon? 2 hours. 2 hours approximately, depending on the amount of discussion.
Chair Chun, can I
Yes.
just ask a clarifying question? I want to know if Ms. Barnes' comments, her papers will be included in the record as she requested, so that the public can see them?
It's been submitted as part of public comment, so is, Mr. Joseph, is that something that we?
There will be a record that they were submitted to the board.
But not the actual records will be included?
The documents are a public record. They're in the possession of the TCA.
They are a public record, but I have to tell you, we have people that are doing PRA requests, and they're getting letters back saying, you can have a hard copy of the minutes, let us know the dates, after they give a bunch of government codes why things are not going to be included. Or if you want a flash drive, I'm sorry, if you want the recording, you have to bring in a flash drive. So I don't know that it's proper. That's something that we were going to discuss today. But we'll be talking about that when I pull the minutes. So I don't know why you don't want the public to see what people are talking about. She tried to submit them and have them up on the board, but we wouldn't allow that.
Unless I misunderstood what Mr. Joseph said, they are being taken in, made part of the public record, and the document, along with notation of the item, is included.
They are,
Is
but
that
how
correct?
would the public get them? That's the problem. They're getting letters back that these documents are exempt from disclosure, cannot be reasonably redacted, things like that.
This document would not be exempt from disclosure.
Okay.
Thank you. So that brings us to item 4, the consent calendar for San Joaquin Hills. And I believe we have at least one request to pull an item.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I had requested that we pull the item for approval of minutes so I can update the board on what was requested of staff at the last board meeting.
Any other requests to pull an item? Okay, item 4.
Chair,
Yes,
item 5, please.
5. Okay, 4, 5, and any others? Okay, do I have a motion for the balance?
I'll move the balance of the consent calendar.
Okay, a motion and a second from Director Hong. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So, Mr. Kramen, would you like to start?
Yes, at the last board meeting, we had a good discussion about how the minutes are presented and the level of detail that are in those. It was pointed out that the actual public record is the recording of the meeting. So what we're prepared to do and we'll put into place starting with our next board meeting, so in the new fiscal year, is that we will live stream all of our meetings. So there'll be video and audio through our website of all of our meetings, and then that video will be posted along with on our website, and so that people won't have to do a public records request for that. It'll be posted on our website a few days following the meeting. So it'll be a video audio record of each of our meetings, and we will go take the board's suggestions in terms of the actual minutes. At that point will be very succinct, but with access provided to the video recordings of each meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kramen. Yes, Director Spitzer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Kramen, is this going to follow like a lot of, I don't even know what the software of the company is, but you can actually click on the agenda item and go right to the meeting? Is that how ours is going to work?
Correct. So you can go to there, and there will be a place where they can click on to go to the video.
No, that's not my question. So once you get to the video, like at the county, you can go to item 14 and click there. You don't have to scroll through the whole 5-hour meeting that we tend to have. And you can just get right to it. Is it going to jump like that?
I think that would be our intent. I'm not sure if that will be the technology that's.
Well, I think everybody has it
My
that way, don't
staff
you?
is telling me
Understand.
yes.
Okay, that's kind of the state of the art today, so I just hope we had it that way. Okay, great,
Okay.
thanks.
Chair, then can I make a request on that? Thank you for bringing that. It wasn't agendized in here, so we couldn't see what you were going to bring back. I appreciate it. I think the meetings should be live streamed so that the public understands and we're not wasting time with people and their time saying, how did we get here? They're going to understand that. But with that, if they're going to be live streamed, I think that we should be taking in, if someone has a PowerPoint that they want to show, we should be doing that so that it's reflected in the video. We should be taking that in. We do that at our meetings. It allows the public to see what other public members are saying.
Let's see what, I think Mr. Joseph has a comment on legal restrictions.
Well, not so much a restriction, but there would not be a requirement that be done. I mean, obviously there will be a record, there will be a video as to what was presented, and if there is a PowerPoint presented, that would be part of the video.
Okay, so we're going to have a methodology of taking in someone's PowerPoint.
Let's wait till they finish their discussion.
One thing that we do is we require, I believe,
I think they
48
have an answer
hours
for you.
ahead to check someone's record.
I'm sorry, what was the question? The current question.
They weren't.
So let's go back to the question you were discussing, which is, will members of the public be able to submit a
PowerPoint.
visual presentation as they're speaking on it in the board meeting?
That is not currently planned, no.
Okay, it's not currently planned. And you commented that there was not a legal restriction. Is it a procedural restriction as far as, like, I don't know, content review and that
No,
sort of thing?
there is not a legal requirement. In other words, it's at the discretion of the board.
Oh, I see. So not a requirement.
That's right.
And then, have we ever had I can't recall a discussion about this sort of thing, because there's certain, I think that Director Ward just mentioned one of the steps taken to be able to present content from the general public, which is 48-hour advance notice, content review, formatting and so forth. So has that discussion ever taken place? Because I don't recall that. Okay.
Certainly not recently, but, you know, we would be more than happy to prepare a presentation, a written or verbal presentation on that issue if it would be helpful.
Okay. Is that something that a committee would start with? What committee would review that with?
That would be appropriate to go to strategic planning, since they have oversight of the administrative code.
Okay, so strategic planning would review this request, find a way, if there is one, of providing that service. And who asked first? Yes, Director Foley.
Costa Mesa has a procedure 30 minutes before the meeting. You just give them the PowerPoint or the pictures or whatever you want to present, and staff just reviews it to make sure there's not any kind of inappropriate content that wouldn't be good because it's playing over the air in people's homes. But I personally feel that we should be allowing for public comment, and we should allow people to use modern technology tools that are available to them now to present their presentations. It actually makes for a better presentation. But we shouldn't bog it down with some committee meeting. Just make a policy, and it doesn't seem that complicated.
Well, there are a couple of concerns that I would have if we were to allow public, and it does have to do with content, but not necessarily objectionable content. But it does have to go through a staff review in case, for example, inadvertently a minor is depicted in a presentation, because there have to be releases if a minor is depicted. So that's just one example, and so the content does need to be reviewed by someone who can say, yes, we can permit this, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with objectionable content, profanity, and that sort of thing, but there are some things that an agency has to be concerned with if we're taking in content from an external source and presenting it over the airwaves. So I would suggest that we do at least have an established set of guidelines so that the public doesn't waste their time submitting something and then getting it pushed back, and then they say, well, I worked on that presentation, I was going to speak at this meeting. No one told me that it couldn't be ABC. So I think it's in the service of the public to make sure that they understand what's permitted so that they don't waste their time, and then also so that we don't have a lot of start and stops in our meetings. So I think it's a good idea. I think that if we could have some more minds put to it so that we can outline an acceptable procedure, and then I think in the end it'll avoid a lot of misunderstandings.
It's just not, to me, more openness is better, and I think all of us have this process in play at all of our city council meetings now, and we don't really have any problems with it. I don't think our staff review the content of the PowerPoints to see if somebody has a minor's consent. That would be beyond what would be required, I think.
So maybe if I could ask of each city, if you have a policy like that, maybe submit it to us so we can use that as part of our developing something.
That's a good idea. Director Bartlett?
So at the Board of Supervisors meetings, and we have our public comment now at the beginning of the meetings. So we had about 74 speakers the other day, but we have an overhead projector that's right next to the podium, and people can bring slides or whatever they want viewed on the overhead that shows on our flat screens at the meetings, and that's part of their 3 minutes that they have to speak, and they can provide something on an overhead basis. If there is something objectionable, obviously, the sheriff's department would step in and remove the item if it's something that is not appropriate to be seen. But it gives the viewing public a chance, because we live stream our meetings as well, a chance to see what the actual audience at the meeting is seeing firsthand and on a real-time basis. So I would be happy to volunteer to review policy and get something in place for TCA that would be more amenable to not only the board members here, but also to the public that comes and wants to present something to us. Thank you.
Okay, let's see a comment. Yeah, Director Spitzer?
So I didn't go to the public forum, but I can tell you as a matter of law, you cannot limit people bringing in signs, and you cannot tell them to remove hats. That is an absolute violation of the First Amendment. We got sued or threatened to be sued by the ACLU at the time. No, please, I didn't. We got threatened to be sued by the ACLU over this, and we changed our board policies. So if you start talking about what people can bring and show you, the chair is right. There's obviously certain things like minors or pornography or certain speech that's not protected. So I get that. I've never seen that in 25 years of elected, but it could happen, I agree. But if you think of Anaheim, and I don't know of Anaheim, but if you think of what happens at the city of Anaheim with their public comments and what council members have been called, prostitutes, really derogatory, it's all protected speech. It's horrible for us, but people can say a lot of things about us. So because we're public figures, so all I'm saying is, Mr. Joseph, we need really clear rules. And I don't think anybody on this board wants to get close to the line of what is protected speech. I agree with Mayor Foley or Board Member Foley. These things have pretty much worked in our jurisdictions without a lot of problems. So if we create a lot of bureaucracy, I think you should grab some policies from the other cities about how they screen and make it as easy and transparent as possible. But we certainly, on public forums, we need some guidelines because we are putting ourselves in a position to be ripe for litigation. You cannot tell people not to bring signs. The only thing you can tell them to do is they have to hold them so they don't poke somebody in the eye, and if somebody's waving it around, then you can remove it because there's a reason. But you cannot stop people from expressing their right to free speech. So there's a lot of rules and guidelines that are actually promulgated by the ACLU. ACLU does a really good job. Supervisor Nelson, Dennis remembers, we had a whole forum about this up in North County about what you can and cannot do in a public forum with the ACLU. So we are getting really close to some very difficult lines if we continue to tell people what they can and cannot say. And I don't think we should go there. So I would just ask Mr. Joseph to get the best practices and procedures. If you want to go to a committee, go to a committee, but please don't bog this down in a bunch of committee hearings.
Okay, thank you, Director Spitzer. So Chairman Sachs, and then we're going to have to move on because we are getting pushed pretty far back now.
Yeah, I just want to quickly say, Mission Viejo, we allow video and slide presentations and that sort of thing. But we require that it be presented to the clerk 24 hours before the meeting. And our concern is and has been checking for viruses and malware and that sort of thing that could be attached to some of these things. After they're cleared for that, we have no problem or issue. But protecting your own your enterprise is very important, and so that's the one thing we do check for and screen for. Otherwise, we have no other issues with it.
Okay, thank you. Director Ward.
Can I just ask then that this be agendized for the next meeting? I mean,
think
staff can bring us back a report on it.
I think that we're talking about having the information gathered and submitted, or
Bring it into a
what
report.
is the desire of the board? Can we put this to a committee to solidify something, or are we going to have a?
Can't staff just come with a report and we can vote on it? It doesn't seem like this is that complicated.
So our process, when our committee process, the goal of which is to not come directly to the board, but to take items through committee. So I would suggest that rather than deviating from our policy, we refer this to the Strategic Planning Committee.
Chair, can I also clarify, aren't we dark in July where there is no board meeting?
Do we have a firm?
Depends on the outcome of today's meeting.
Okay, so
What-
we are going to.
What does it depend on? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So historically, this board is dark in July. That's been the practice. So I want the public to know that. So if this then goes to all these committees and all that, it won't be until September.
So we're talking about a single committee, not all these committees.
Okay.
And I would not want someone to leave this meeting with that single idea that historically we're dark in July, because we don't know yet. We're about an hour and a half from figuring that out, I think. So just so everyone here realizes that we will know by the end of this meeting if we're going to have a meeting in July. And we are talking about a single committee to have this discussion in order to expedite the process so that the members of that committee can have a more direct discussion about the process, and then it'll be agendized. So depending on the outcome of this meeting, August or September. So, all right. I'm sorry, I lost that. That was item
Sorry.
4.
Item number 1, or
Right, I'm sorry,
Approval
so
of
that was item
minutes.
4 in the minutes.
Yes.
2 in the minutes? Right, but Director Ward said she had a question on 4, which was
But I don't believe anyone's moved the
the
minutes.
balance. Okay, thank you. No, we did. We moved the balance and voted on it, so now we're
Yes, now
to
we-
your question.
But if we're at minutes, Mr. Chair, should we move the minutes? I'll move the minutes. I'll move the minutes.
Okay. So, motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Now, item 4, or number 4.
I would like it explained what on-call coastal hydraulic consulting services is. I read the report, obviously, but I would like to know specifically what areas they're going to be looking at where there's rivers or coastline, and what this does. Yes, I would like to know geographically where this would be.
The on-call services under this contract is to provide assistance to agency staff for various projects. For example, one project that we've identified for the consultants is to perform a post-mitigation site study. TCA has wetlands that we've restored out in the Newport Beach area, Bonita Creek and the saltwater marsh. So I want to be able to quantify the benefits that the agency has provided as far as net improvements in that watershed. And so the first task order is to provide a contract for these services. That scope would be developed and brought to the board before the work be authorized. Additional services related to these on-call contracts would provide assistance also as part of potential acquisition of additional open space that the agency would move forward with. But again, all of those services and contracts would come to the board of directors for approval before any work would be initiated or performed. But the primary focus right now is to do the study on our mitigation sites to be able to quantify the benefits that the agencies have provided.
Thank you. I'll move the item.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Director Bartlett?
Okay, so we're on item number 5? Okay. So on this particular item, Somas has been a longtime vendor of TCA, and they're a fantastic vendor. But I think it's important to foster the communication with our communities. And we've received a number of calls in our office from residents about the Somas trucks that are in the open space behind their homes, and they're asking questions why and such, what specific scope of work are they doing. So I just want to request that TCA inform the board members when we have the questions and answers from Public Forum 3, that they're posted on the getmovingoc.com website, and you communicate that to the board members so that we can communicate effectively back to our constituents.
Sure.
And that I also encourage TCA to provide a specific button on the website, because sometimes it's hard to navigate, but a specific button so that constituents can easily access information about certain major projects or scopes of work that are taking place, because that'll help cut down on the number of phone calls.
Okay.
So I think this would be a good first step in starting to enhance the accessibility of information and enhance the level of communication for the board members with our constituents. Thank you.
Okay.
With that, I'll make a motion to approve the item.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Director Spitzer.
I may have a problem on one. Supervisor Bartlett, can you bifurcate it so I can just record no participation on 1, please, so I can vote on 2?
We're in item number 5.
Yeah, item 5 isn't there 3 recommended actions and 4 for the Foothill Eastern? So can you bifurcate out 1 so I can record a no participation on 1 for
Sure.
both agencies? All right,
Yes.
thank you.
And the second stands with that? Yes. Okay. So we're voting first on 1. All in favor? And no participation?
No
from Director Spitzer?
participation.
Any
And the
opposed?
clerk will record that, thank you.
Any opposed? Okay, that one passes. So now we're going to vote on 2 and 3. A motion for 2 and 3?
Second?
Motion from Director Shea and second from Director Miller, was it? No. Who was the second? Oh, Director Voights. All in favor? Aye. Terrific. Okay. So this is, let me see if I've got this correct now, because I got a little lost in that one. So we're on Roman numeral 5 now, correct? Foothill Eastern consent calendar. Okay. In the consent? Yeah. Right, so now we're on, now we're on Foothill Eastern.
No, we're moving to that.
Yeah,
right.
we're there now. Okay, so we're on Roman numeral 5, Foothill Eastern consent calendar. Do I have anyone who'd like to pull an item?
Move
I would
consent
like to-
calendar.
Hold on.
Wait,
Okay,
okay, wait a second.
You're right.
So we've got a motion, a second, and a comment from Director
No.
Ward. No?
I pull that comment.
Chair,
Okay.
just my same comments apply.
Same comments apply, and so then we're going to bifurcate.
Item number 1 from 2 and 3.
We don't.
On 5, but it's
Okay, he's already
done.
registered it, so, okay.
It's better, it's cleaner that way.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Not participating.
Not participating. Okay. So now that brings us, I believe, to Roman numeral 6, board business. Thank you. And number 10, and we're going to hear from Amy Potter. Good morning.
Good morning. This item is a request to approve the fiscal year 18 budgets for each of the agencies. This item was presented in detail at the budget workshop in April and again last month at the Joint Operations and Finance Committee. So my presentation today is very brief, and then I will open up to questions. The budgets include sources of $491.7 million for Foothill Eastern and $304.7 million for San Joaquin Hills, and expenditures of $221.4 million for Foothill Eastern and $138.9 million for San Joaquin Hills. The budget resolutions that you are asking, or that I'm asking you to approve today, include the following items, which include the total expenditures budget and the various categories. And here is Foothill Eastern's budget resolution summary. And so with that, the recommendation for San Joaquin Hills is to approve resolution number S 2017-02, entitled A Resolution of the Board of Directors of the San Joaquin Hills Transportation Corridor Agency approving the budget for fiscal year 2018 in the amount of $138,853,369. And for Foothill Eastern, to approve resolution F 2017-02, entitled A Resolution of the Board of Directors of the Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor Agency approving the budget for fiscal year 2018 in the amount of $221,444,437. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Chairman Sachs?
Amy, could you just take us through the budgeting process so that the public knows this isn't the first time we're ever seeing this report?
Yes, so the budget process really is a quite involved process that begins pretty much in December. Well, actually, it begins throughout the whole year when we discuss various items with the committees and get board direction on the types of initiatives to include in the budget. And then once we put together the budget, we present it in great detail at a budget workshop. That was held in April. And then taking feedback from that workshop, we make any revisions and include that in a presentation that's made at the Joint Operations and Finance Committee, which was held last month. And from there, if there are any other board member questions, of course, we address those, and that's where we are here today now.
Do we have any other questions for Ms. Potter? Okay, so we heard this presentation jointly, but we're going to vote on them separately. So I'll take a vote first for San Joaquin Hills. I'll take a vote for San Joaquin Hills for resolution number S 2017-02 for the amount of $138,853,369 for our budget. Do I have a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. So now we're going to vote on Foothill Easterns, F 2017-02 for a budget amount for fiscal year 2018 of $221,444,437. Do I have a motion? Do we have a motion and a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Chair?
Yes.
San Clemente opposes as long as this budget reflects any alignments that go through communities.
Okay.
We will not be voting for this budget.
Okay, so that's one nay. Madam Clerk, do you have that? Okay, thank you. Oh, yes, Director Spitzer.
So, Mr. Creeman, can you respond to the director's comment? There's obviously money in here to continue the process, correct?
Correct.
So then, how does the ranch's pronouncement this week affect the project?
At this early point in the process, we're still going through the project initiation phase, which will be followed by a purpose in need and a alternative scoping through the legislatively mandated CEQA and NEPA processes. So it's just part of the public input that's part of the process as we move forward and take that input.
What's the agency's response going to be in response to comments to the ranch indicating on the record that the connection's no longer needed? The ranch doesn't believe it's needed. I was, honestly, after all these years being a county supervisor and supportive of the entitlement for the ranch, I probably lost a heartbeat, probably had to get defibrillated or whatever the way. I mean, it was just pretty phenomenal, so I'd like to hear your reaction to that.
Well, those questions will be answered through the traffic analysis, the technical analysis that is done. And certainly, this agency of all people who build roads is not going to move forward with the project if it's not needed, because it wouldn't generate the traffic, which wouldn't generate the revenue, which wouldn't make it reasonable for this agency. That is something that's additional that this agency considers above and beyond the impacts to the environment and to communities.
I didn't read their transmittal. Was it a letter? Did they send a letter?
They published a statement.
A statement.
San Clemente received a statement directly from them.
Well, hold on. I appreciate that. I'm just asking, what's the crux of their belief? Because they obviously had to do extensive TNR studies, right, to get their entitlements. They had environmental impact reports, of course, in all their phases. So what is the crux of the ranch's argument now that they do not need this?
I could prepare an analysis and then I can give you an answer to that, but I'm not prepared today to just off the cuff discuss
Okay,
it.
well, that's fair. No, I just think in light of the fact that the most significant home builder and commercial, right, in that area of our county,
right,
has now made that statement officially, I as just one director would like to understand what that means, because certainly La Plata is a significant corridor, but I listened to Pat Bates for years when I served on the Board of Supervisors with Pat. She was adamant La Plata was not going to be the arterial that was going to carry that traffic from the ranch to the 5, and that, right? And there was going to be a different solution. So in light of that, I would just appreciate getting some context for this now and what it means going forward, because I honestly just don't understand it.
Sure, I'll be glad to put that together and share it with all the board members.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? We have a motion and a second on the floor for Foothill Eastern's budget. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
One opposed, okay. So we've got that registered. Thank you.
Thank you.
The motion carries.
Mr. Chair, if I could, I'd just
Yeah.
like to thank our staff and our CEO for their great effort putting this together. It's been months and months of committee work and then our special meeting, and you've just done a great job. It hasn't been easy. We've asked a lot of tough questions, and I appreciate that we get to this point that it makes this meeting a little bit easier with all the time that staff spends with board members, as I said, through committees, and then our recent budget update. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Chair Shea, and I share those comments, especially with the workshop we went through. That was an extensive meeting, and preparation time was obviously tremendous, so thank you very much to the staff. Okay, let's see where we are. Boy, oh boy. Mr. Lowe, welcome.
Good morning. I'm David Lowe, Chief Engineer for the agencies. This item brings before you the proposed capital improvement plan for the upcoming fiscal year. Each year we bring this item before the boards to provide you with updated information and recommendations regarding our capital projects. These projects have been reviewed and forwarded for your consideration by the Joint Capital Programs and Projects Committee. Each of the major contracts related to these projects either have been or will be brought to the board before the boards for approval. This slide is a system map that shows the locations of the active fiscal year 18 projects. The two projects in blue are joint projects for both agencies, and they include the signage and the toll booth removal projects. For the Foothill Eastern Agency, the active projects are on the right, and they include the 241-91 Express Connector, the Oso Bridge and Gap Closure, and the South County Mobility Improvements Project. Here are the projects planned for the San Joaquin Hills Agency, and we anticipate that both these projects will be completed within the next fiscal year. These are the projects for the Foothill Eastern Agency, and the first includes the South County Mobility Improvement, where we will be continuing our outreach and stakeholder efforts leading up to the initiation of a new CEQA-NEPA process. The next project includes coordination with County and Rancho Mission Viejo on their Los Patrones Parkway project, and our efforts will focus on the construction of the Oso Bridge and Gap Closure project. On the 241-91 Express Connector, our project team will be finalizing the environmental document. We'll be continuing our final design work and developing a finance plan, working toward a construction start in fiscal year 19. So staff recommends adoption of the capital improvement plan, and that completes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe. Director Piotr?
Mr. Lowe, you've got in there some discussion about the Jamboree and 73 off-ramp. Is there anything in the budget for that?
Not actually in the budget, but we will be continuing discussions with the City of Newport Beach on an easement that we have there for the on-ramp onto the northbound 73.
So I just want to clarify, right now in adopting this budget, we're not prescribing or giving any kind of direction different than what's already been approved, right?
Correct.
Thank you.
Director Spitzer?
Mr. Lowe, how do you characterize where we stand on the 241-91 with respect to our negotiations with OCTA?
We're in the process of reviewing a traffic and revenue peer review that they provided, and we're in discussions.
Have they
with them.
completed their peer review? Can't hear you, Mike.
Yeah, we had a meeting on it last week, and they presented the items and concerns that they have regarding the Stantec traffic and revenue draft that we developed last year. And we're in the process of going through their study and also setting up a meeting to coordinate and having discussions about their concerns.
And then when does the SCAG, when do we have to have a completion on the air quality issue with respect to the designation of the 241-91? When is that date,
I think
Amy?
that's middle 2021? December 2021.
2021?
Yes.
It has to be open to traffic by December 2021. However, it has to be reported to SCAG in September so they can provide their federal update to EPA.
September of,
2021.
wait, I thought it had to be open.
Yes, open to traffic.
By when?
September 2021.
When do they have to update their numbers to the feds?
They have to provide the update to the feds in September of 2021.
Oh, so the same year. It has to be reported and open almost concurrently?
Yeah, if the federal process for that designation has just completed itself, so it's actually now a committed project for air quality purposes.
It's now a committed project.
Yes, for air
From
quality.
SCAG's perspective.
Yes, SCAG, EPA, and the California Air Resources Board.
So in order to meet these timeframes, when do we have to complete our environmental and commence construction?
The environmental needs to be complete by this year, and construction needs to begin in 2018. It's a 2-year construction window, thereabouts.
Actually, we're planning on advertising at the end of next fiscal year, so about June or July. And we'll be starting that construction project in fiscal year 19, so the summer of 2018, and completing before
Did you say
2020.
summer of 18? Okay, we got a lot of work to do.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, there's so much at stake. We all know that, and those of us who have been involved, I chair that ad hoc committee. There's so much at stake, and I have a central role in this, and we're gonna have to start, how long is it gonna take you to analyze their peer review? And come back to our ad hoc committee, and we're gonna have to start really ramping this up, because the whole region's air quality is at stake, and our region's funding is at stake. If there's any delay whatsoever in the direct connect between the 241 and the 91, we are really at pressure point at this, right? We are doing REIR, OCTA isn't on board, we haven't entered into all those conversations. I don't have any idea, as I sit here, what the peer review looks like. Obviously, we won't know that until staff completes its analysis with our consultant. Obviously, Stantec is involved in that, right? So what's your time frame to, number one, finish the peer review, and then have the ad hoc convene so we can understand what the issues are, if any, how they're gonna be resolved, and then we can, promulgate our strategy?
So we're planning to bring it to the ad hoc committee at the August meeting of the ad hoc committee. So August. So it's on the same day as the board meeting.
Oh, so we'll meet like we typically do? All right, got it. All right, well, Mr. Creaman, it's a pretty ambitious schedule, and it feels like it's getting compressed on us, right? I kind of feel like we're gonna be squeezed real quick if all the dominoes don't fall into place. I know you all know that. I'm not on this side. It's just that, those of us who concurrently sit on OCTA, that's Director Murphy, Director Bartlett, myself, we got some heavy lifting to start doing. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. So we've got, can I get a motion, a second from each board?
A motion, so moved from, are you Foothill? Or no? Okay, then from San Juan again.
Okay,
And
a
I'll
second from.
I'll second San Juan.
Okay, second. And then
I'll second Foothill.
Thank you, Director Bartlett. Okay, so we have motions and seconds from both boards. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. That-
Opposed?
Opposed to
The capital and,
12?
yes.
Okay, so we have one opposed for 12. Thank you. So that item carries, and that brings us to item 13, and Mr. Lowe again.
So this item brings before you a request for next fiscal year's task order authorization for our existing contract with the Corridor Management Group, or CMG. The agencies employ a small in-house engineering staff with a philosophy that work is contracted out to maintain flexibility in project staffing. The scope of work included in this authorization request includes staff augmentation for technical management and administrative assistance in several categories as shown, including program management, project management, technical oversight, and design support. Our contract with Corridor Management Group was awarded in 2016 following a competitive procurement process. This next fiscal year's authorization will be the second full year of the 5-year contract. Corridor Management Group is a joint venture comprised of WSP, formerly Parsons Brinkerhoff, and HNTB. This table shows the amounts of the authorization requested for next fiscal year, including approximately $11 million for the Foothill Eastern Agency and approximately $650,000 for the San Joaquin Hills Agency. And we're also requesting a 5% contingency. To summarize, staff recommends authorizing Amendment 4 to the contract with Corridor Management Group and the amounts shown per agency. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe. Do we have any questions? Yes, Director Ward?
I have one, Mr. Lowe. On part of the budget, let's see, page 2 of 3, it mentions that part of this is the Los Patronos Parkway Oso Bridge project. Just one of the items. It also includes the South County Mobility Improvement. I noticed through here, when it says Los Patronos Parkway Oso Bridge project, it seems like the majority of the work, or what we're approving, is just the Oso Bridge project, building that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that's what it did seem like that to me. All right, thank you, I wanted that clarified.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, so this is another joint item where I'll ask for a motion and a second from each board.
I'll move for San Joaquin
Second?
approval.
And I'll second.
Okay, so a motion from Director Miller and a second from Director Voits. And that does it for us. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? One opposed from Director Ward. Thank you. That motion carries. And that brings us to item 14.
Mr. Chair, I'll present this item. Basically, this item is for the approval of next year's meeting calendar, which would continue to be the second Thursday of each month. One of the things we did experiment with this year, mid-year, we changed the start time from 9 o'clock to 9:30 a.m. Staff is recommending moving the start time back to 9 o'clock. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay. So what questions do I have on this, if any?
Move
Director
approval.
Murphy?
Just gonna have to learn if it's a 9 o'clock start, and I mentioned it to the chair, I'll have to, vote no, because it will be the determining factor for me not to participate on the board anymore. Unfortunately, I have meetings out of town, the night before, so I'm flying in for the meetings, and physically I can't get here any earlier, and I wouldn't want to walk in late and have anybody in the audience misinterpret, my lateness as not wanting to hear their particular input. So shouldn't be a determining factor for the rest. If it's best for the group at 9 a.m., that's great. But it will probably force me to go into an alternate or a non-participant role based on that. If I can't participate fully, I'm not going to participate.
I understand.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
On that note, you know, normally, right, one director, I mean, we can't all accommodate everybody's director schedule, but in light of the point I made earlier, which I hadn't thought of when you said that, Director Murphy, Director Murphy's presence on this board is critical because he also wears an OCTA hat. And we need as many overlapping directors as possible because the future of this agency and the Director Connect is a really important project for the 241. So I would ask, I'm going to vote no as well. I was planning on anyway because I think the start time at 9 is tough with traffic. So I would just ask us to keep it the way it is, and we'll just have to plow through it. Losing Director Murphy would be a big loss for this board.
Thank you. Any other comments on that?
Mr. Chair,
Yes. Director Beal?
can we just have staff explain the importance of switching to 9 o'clock from 9:30, which has worked relatively well all year?
The importance was just feedback I got from a lot of the board members' work, and their preference was to not have the meetings spill over into the afternoon where they lose more than a half a day at work.
Chair.
Yes, Director Bartlett.
Could we split the difference? Would you be able to get here, do you think, by 9:15, or is 9:30 the absolute earliest?
No, it's a female trait.
Yeah, good luck.
Joking aside, the problem is I have a standing meeting for my day job because I'm not I work in private world as well, like many of us do. And there is no way for me to get home any sooner than literally I land at 5 minutes to 9. I have my car waiting outside, and I've been making meetings. I don't usually broadcast my travel plans, but I've been making the meetings the last 4 months on time or within 2 or 3 minutes. And that's, sorry. I've been making the meetings the last 4 or 5 months doing this, and I usually don't broadcast, you know, my own travel schedule because that's up to me to figure out. But I just wanted to be clear why I was voting no. It wasn't under the theory that 9 o'clock versus 9:30. It was the challenge for me personally, and I just wanted to be clear as to why I was voting.
Okay. But I think, Chair, I think there's some things that we can do, even if we have a 9:30 start, in order to be able to get through the majority of the agenda, or all of the agenda items that are critical for board member input. I think there's some tweaks that we can do with regard to the public comment section to accommodate the board members so we don't lose quorum. So I think having a 9:30 start, we can still accommodate everyone. We can keep Director Murphy on the TCA board, which is critical for that OCTA, TCA overlap for board membership and input. But let's just see what we can do with the agenda format to ensure that we don't lose quorum on the key items that we need to vote on. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I thought your point was you want to be here for public comment.
Well, I want to be here for the whole meeting. In other words, if it's as long as it's a 9:30 start, I'm good. If not, and one other thing too, I do apologize. I did have a conversation and email with the chair, but I should have included the CEO on that discussion too, because he's being caught a bit flat-footed this morning on this particular item. So I do apologize for not sending.
But my question to you, Mark, is if we jigger it and we put something else in front, you feel it's part of your duty to hear the public comment, right?
Right, absolutely.
So if you miss some of that, you feel like you couldn't do your job.
Exactly.
All right, well then, if we're gonna move something around, it can't be public comment, because that's not fair to a director who wants to hear everybody's input.
Mr. Chair?
Okay, so let's see, Director Ward first, and then Director Shea. Oh. Did you have a comment?
Oh, well, yes, go ahead, and then I'll go after her.
There was some comment that a number of directors wanted to finish their meeting in the morning so that they could get to work, and now we have a very important director who wants to start it a little later because he has work that interferes with coming early. Is it practical to see how many people are impacted, or when we lose quorum if the meeting runs past noon?
I don't know if we have a consistent number of, it tends to vary, who has to leave. Some of us, like myself, I have a somewhat flexible schedule, but some days it's very inflexible, so I don't know if we could really just have a show of hands and make that determination. Yes, Dr. Shea.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to suggest, I understand the issue. I actually talked to Mr. Creeman about this the other day. There's a rationale on both sides, but we have moved to 9:30. If we can be efficient, the chairs can be efficient, which you are, I think we should just stick to 9:30 so Director Murphy can attend. We don't want to lose a member because of that, and obviously there hasn't been that communication, or I'm sure the CEO would not have brought that forward. So why don't we just stay at this particular time, and if we find as the year goes on that it becomes a problem consistently where people can't stay after a certain time, then bring it back for a more robust discussion. Would that be okay? Okay.
So, I'm sorry, you're done? Okay, and then Chairman Sachs.
So I just have a technical question, I guess. Mr. Joseph, is it imperative that closed session goes after the meetings? Could closed session go before the meetings?
Closed session can go at any time as long as it's on the agenda.
Right. So that might be a possibility where we actually wouldn't get started until 9:30 or 12:45.
The challenge may be that we don't have a closed session every time, so that would not necessarily always be of help there.
Good point. Thank you so much. That did and did not answer my question.
Okay. Glad to be of service.
And I wanted to point out to all the other directors, other than Director Murphy, that you all are important too.
Absolutely.
Later.
Okay.
He
All
does
right, well,
respond
do we
well
have
to
any more-
winks, though, by the way.
Do we have any more comments on this item? So let's see. We had a motion at the very onset of the discussion to move the item. Does that, the maker of that motion still want to retain that motion, or we do
Mr.
that all?
Chairman?
Yes.
I make a substitute motion, move receive and file.
Okay. A
I'll
motion to
second that. I'll second that.
So the motion is to receive and
Because
file.
then you don't have to vote no on it. It's not a, there's, You just don't make a change.
I would like the motion to include the comment to keep the start time at 9:30. That would
Okay.
help, that would be what we'd need.
Okay. Move to receive and file and keep the start time at 9:30.
And I'll second that.
Okay. And then we need, for both boards, correct? Because this is a joint item, so do we have a?
I'll move for Foothill Eastern.
Okay, same, and then a second?
Same motion.
Second?
And a second, okay.
Actually, I think because it is a resolution, you do have to actually vote on it to approve the resolution. And as part of that, setting it at 9:30.
Okay, so.
So it will make a substitute motion that receive the resolution at 9:30 start time?
To approve the resolution.
At a 9:30
Modified to a 9:30
And
start
so
time.
I'll make that motion and receive it as a 9:30 start time.
Okay. All right, okay. And then for both boards, so we need a motion and second. And a second, okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, well, that was easy, thank you. Item 15. Good morning.
Good morning.
Alphonse.
Yes, I'm Alpan Turkili, Customer Service Program Manager. The item before you today is a joint item for Mail House Services Contract Award. It was presented to the Joint Committee on May 25th and approved by both committees to be presented to the board today. TCA mails out approximately 4.5 million pieces of correspondence annually, including statements, invoices, violation notices, and other customer correspondence. Mailings are time-sensitive, and to manage workload, TCA uses a third-party contractor. And since 2013, Questmark has provided bulk printing and mailing services. Contract is expiring on June 30th, 2017, requiring reprocurement of these services. An RFP was issued on, invitation for bid was issued on April 11, 2017, and it included requirements for pricing for 16 different document packages with various pieces, such as envelopes, return envelopes, and printed paper, online document tracking service with delivery information, 24-hour mailing after transmission of the data files to the mail house, and firm had to have experience in comparable quantity and time frames. And total of 8 firms provided responsive bid on May 12th. Here's the list of the bidders and their proposed pricing. Questmark proposed price of approximately $400,000 based on the estimated item volumes provided by TCA is the lowest bid. And based on the staff's analysis of bid results, and given that Questmark has been successfully providing these services to TCA for the last 4 years, staff is confident that these services can be provided with the price proposed. And staff recommends to authorize the chief CEO to execute a 3-year contract plus 2 1-year extensions with Questmark for printing and mailing services. The combined cost for the agencies on a not-to-exceed basis is $1.2 million, with the actual cost allocable to each agency being determined annually based on reasonable assumptions and methodology. And also, staff recommends to authorize the CEO to make additional changes deemed necessary and execute future contract amendments not to exceed an amount within 10%, $120,000 of the contract value as allocated to each agency without further board of directors actions. And this recommendation applies to both agencies. That concludes my report, and I'm ready to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
That's great. Okay, what questions do we have? Any questions? Or a motion from each of the boards and a second?
I'll make a motion for Foothill.
And I'll second Foothill.
Okay.
Make a motion for San Joaquin.
Okay. And a second for San Joaquin. Thank you. So we have motions and seconds from both boards. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Item 16, and yes, Mr. Murphy.
Clarification, and I'm assuming the makers of the motion, are we taking the actions that are on the agenda or the ones that are recommended by staff? Because they don't appear to be in parallel. So one stated a 650K piece, right? Oh, I'm sorry, wrong item, never mind,
Oh,
check that.
Thank you.
I was still torn on the 9 versus 9:30.
I think we're gonna change it now to 9 o'clock, so you're not coming back.
What's that?
You just killed how important you are.
You gave us reason to go back to
Okay,
9.
I wasn't gonna raise this, but the reason I got so confused was on item 14, I saw the 9:30 reference as well as the 9, so
You're right.
that's where it started.
We're
Go
just
ahead.
teasing you.
Okay. All right. Let's see, Ms. Gans.
Good morning, my name is Lisa Gans, and I'm the Manager of Marketing and Communications. The item before you today is an item that requests funding for the second year of a 3-year contract with DB&M Media for marketing, creative, and media buying services. The contract was procured in fiscal 16, and a 3-year marketing campaign was developed under the theme Enjoying the Drive. Staff is recommending a total of $1.3 million for the services that focus on awareness and education to build account growth and ridership of the agency's 51-mile toll road network. A majority of the budget, which is about 77.5%, will go towards the purchase of media placement for ads that will run on radio, traffic sponsorships, cable TV, network, online digital ads, as well as outdoor, including billboards and transit placements. The amount being requested for FY18 is the same as the amount that was budgeted for and approved in FY17, with slightly more of the dollars going towards the media placement because the reduction of production of the media of the ads planned in FY18. This item was previewed and discussed at the Joint Marketing Ad Hoc Committee in March, and so staff today is recommending that the Board of Directors authorize the CEO to execute Amendment 1 of the contract number K001076 with DB&M Media in the amount of $650,000 for each agency for marketing services through June 30th, 2018. And with that concludes my presentation. I'm open for questions.
Great, thank you. Do we have any questions for Ms. Gans? Yes, Director Bartlett.
Are you going to come and give us a presentation or have the firm give us a presentation on the media campaign? Usually they give us, the video script and that type of thing, and they show it to us at one of the board meetings.
Sure.
Is that something they can do? Okay, just so because not all of us are on the marketing committee, and it would be great for all of the board members collectively to be able to see what is actually being produced.
Sure, we can do that.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair?
Yes, Dr. Shea.
Yes, as Chair of the Marketing Committee, I would say that we made a great choice with this firm. They've proven to be just an excellent team to work with. I think our staff feels the same way, so I'm very pleased that we're moving forward and sticking with them. Thank you.
I'll have to add my compliments too. This campaign, this is the first time that I will be listening to a commercial and sort of enjoying it, then realize it's one of ours. And so that's a great statement about the work they do, because it just blends so naturally into the airwaves that I think it's very effective because they're persuasive without being intrusive. So I would like to compliment them as well. Okay, terrific. So this is a joint item again. So we need a motion and second from each board.
I'll move it for Foothill Eastern.
I'll second Foothill Eastern.
Second for San Juan. Okay, motions and seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great.
you.
Thank you. And Ms. Daly, item number 17.
Good morning. I'm Barbie Daly, Director of Government and Legislative Affairs. The item before you today is an extension of 2 contracts for state and federal legislative advocacy services. Robert Naylor Advocacy in Sacramento and Aiken Gump Strauss Hauer and Feld in Washington, D.C. Both consultants provided updates to the boards in April and have attended the Joint Strategic Planning Ad Hoc Committee over the past 2 months to highlight their achievements and discuss their goals for the upcoming fiscal year. These contracts were also presented to the Joint Operations and Finance Committee on May 25th. In fiscal year 18, Mr. Naylor will continue his legislative and strategic planning role, serving as the agency's Chief Strategy Advisor in Sacramento. I'm the one in charge of this. Sorry, Wendy. I don't know how to use this clicker. Focused on maintaining and growing our regional partnerships, educating key legislators, and advocating for the implementation of TCA's capital projects, as well as engaging the state resource agencies and governor's office as needed. In fiscal year 18, Ms. Lint will continue to serve as TCA's advocate in Washington, D.C., and along with her colleagues, Dario Fromer and Ian Chavis, will continue to provide legal assistance as the agencies move forward in the environmental review process for the South Orange County Mobility Improvement Program. Staff recommends the boards authorize amendment number 5 with Robert Naylor Advocacy in an amount not to exceed $32,640 for San Joaquin Hills Transportation Corridor Agencies and $48,960, there we go, for the Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor Agency for state legislative advocacy and strategic counseling services in fiscal year 18. Staff also recommends the boards authorize, told you I am not good at this, the boards authorize amendment number 6 to the contract with Aiken, Gump, Strauss, Hauer, and Feld in an amount not to exceed $24,000 for services for the San Joaquin Hills Transportation Corridor Agency and $396,000 for services and $25,000 for expenses for the Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor Agency from July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018. And that concludes my report, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Terrific, thank you. Do we have any questions from the board?
I'll make a motion. They're doing a great job for us, and Barbie, you're doing a wonderful job as well.
Thank
so
you.
I want to compliment you. With that, I'll move Foothill Eastern.
Foothill Eastern, second.
San Joaquin Hills.
Move San Joaquin.
Motion and second for both boards. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I'm sorry, San Clemente opposes?
San Clemente opposes, so that's one opposed. The motion's carried. Thank you. That brings us to number 18 and Mr. Chesney.
Barbie, got your glasses. Good morning, Mike Chesney, Chief Strategy Officer. The item before you is a Foothill Eastern item to request authorization to extend 5 contract amendments and 2 contract task orders, and 1 new contract for the Strategic Planning Department's consultant services. These are all 1-year renewals, and these 8 consultants or consultant teams have been working with us this past year on our strategic planning and outreach efforts to address the mobility issues in South Orange County. As is typical of our agency, we contract out most of our work efforts within the Strategic Planning Department. Specifically, our team is comprised of experts in the area of transportation policy, regulatory permitting, environmental outreach, and community outreach. And this matrix here shows the division of work and the specific tasks that each consultant or consultant team will be handling. We've been engaged with productive discussions with the environmental groups, continuation of our cities and electeds mobility workshops, and the planning and coordination of public forums, the third of which was held this past Monday on June 5th. And as we saw at that forum, the public has a lot of input that we are looking forward to incorporating into our process. In fiscal year 18, the next step in our process involves launching an expanded public education campaign through direct consumer communications, further expanding our regional outreach to municipalities and counties bordering South Orange County that are impacted by the worsening traffic, continuing to work with the media by facilitating access and information and regular in-depth briefings, and broadening the agency's strategic outreach to key stakeholders and entities. Finally, most importantly, as we move into the formal environmental phase on the South County mobility improvements, our consultant team will be engaged with the technical engineering and environmental staff and consultants to communicate the next phases, conduct formal environmental scoping meetings, and to keep our stakeholders informed of the next steps of the process. My staff recommendations are on 2 slides. These are the first 4, and we recommend authorizing the CEO to execute the following task orders, amendments, and contracts. Again, these are the first 4 on the staff report, and the next slide shows the last 4. And with that, I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chesney. Do we have any questions? Yes. Director Ward?
Mr. Chesney, I have a question. Venture Strategic,
Yes.
Inc., is that who is responsible for the public forum, how it went off, who decided how it was going to go? Is that who we're hiring for that, or is that just the online presence? Who is responsible for for that Monday night?
So,
So the agency is responsible for Monday night, and Venture Strategic is a consultant contract that assists the agency in our public outreach efforts.
Okay, so they have a say and consult with us on how we
The
should do that.
agency is responsible for what we do in terms of our public outreach. Venture Strategic is a contractor to us who assists the agency.
At our direction.
All right, well, when we get a discussion, I'll have a comment.
I'd like to move item number 18 for its own.
Mr. Chair, just a point of order. I think myself and maybe another director, we have a potential issue. It seems very convoluted, but just out of an abundance of caution, can we bifurcate one? I need one bifurcated as opposed to 2 through 8. So if we could just frame the issue like we did, the motion as a courtesy, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, Chair?
Okay,
I
so
think just, for me, in an abundance of caution, pursuant to the Levine Act, I'm going to abstain on these items.
Okay, so Director Bartlett abstains and Director Huang.
I just want to thank Mike for putting the matrix together because I had a lot of questions at the last meeting, and so this really helps me. So I want to appreciate you making that effort. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you. So, any other questions or comments on this item? Director Ward.
I have a comment. I think the board should be concerned that we are increasing Venture Strategic to 1.8 million, going into another phase, and decreasing Kurt Pringle and Associates to 72,000. If you remember, last year their budget was 1.8 million, and they led the effort, helped the agency try to get through mobility working group and get to this part. So it looks like we're going forward with Venture Strategic carrying that load, and based on what we saw Monday and how the public was treated, I will be voting no on these, obviously, but I think the board should really look into that. Mr. Spitzer said it earlier. We need to have some clear policies of going forward, because what we saw Monday night was not a public forum in the definition of that. So it was very orchestrated effort, and I think it made it so that the public was not heard on these items.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Okay, I'm sorry. Who just?
Mr. Chairman, we don't have a second yet.
Yes, we're
Okay.
correct. Did you have a question, Dr. Spitzer?
For council. Mr. Joseph, I may have or may not, it's just not worth going into the Levine Act issue on one, but not with respect to the other subs. So can I mean, it looked like Director Bartlett just did a blanket, no participation. Can you give me some advice on the record on that, please?
I would, out of an abundance of caution, make clear for the record that you are not participating in item number 1.
But I'm free to on the others? Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Did the maker of the motion change that out?
That's fine with me.
Okay, and I'll second it.
Okay.
Could I just ask a couple questions, because I didn't attend the meeting on Monday, but how many people attended that meeting? Do we know?
yeah, I had
Do
some
we have a
numbers
kind
for
of
you.
a general idea?
We had, a total of about 630 people in the 2 rooms. We had a theater that was at capacity about 400 and an overflow room at about 230. We're estimating we had probably around 1,000 outside. Also, could have been more. We don't have the official count
Okay.
yet. And then also online, we had 2,500 viewers of live stream through the Get Moving OC website, and about 650 viewers through the Toll Roads Facebook. But I do also know that different media outlets were also streaming that, and we don't have those numbers.
Okay, so we had a large turnout, I mean, what I'm hearing. So this is probably one of the first outreaches we've had with, I would suggest, such a huge turnout. So what I had understood is that because of that large expectation, that there was so we could get as many people speaking, we had to kind of go, what, first, with speaker cards, or?
Correct.
No, there was questions only. No speakers.
I'm not talking to you, Kathy,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
Well,
I
I'm
was
gonna
just talking to
clarify.
staff, if that's all right. I'm sorry, so go ahead.
Sure. So we had questions, cards that were passed out as they checked in, and then we collected those and gave it to the moderator. And He
Okay.
went through as many as he could. I will also note that we had a video recording set up outside for people who wanted to provide comments, and we had a court reporter as well, taking comments
Okay.
by hand.
So you felt because of the large crowd that that was a more efficient way to handle it?
We were trying to record as many comments and questions and
Okay.
as much. And then I'll also note that we're going to post everything. We're scanning everything, and we're going to post everything.
So
on
maybe
it.
in August, or I don't know, whenever you decide, Mike, that we might have an update, because it's difficult for those that weren't there to hearing, that our staff did not do a good job and we didn't allow public input. Maybe we need to do it better. I'm not saying that I don't think, but considering such a large crowd, I think it was probably very difficult to figure out how to handle such a major crowd. That I don't think that was our expectation, but it's good that many people came and are interested. So I just want to, again, thank you, Mike, for all your effort too. Thank you.
So, Mr. Chesney, I have a question about the format. So
Yes.
there was a primary auditorium.
Yes.
And then there was an overflow room.
Correct.
And obviously, the auditorium attendees could see what was happening in the overflow room. There was a monitor where they could see and hear the proceedings.
Yeah, it was streamed to the overflow room as well. Initially, some difficulties getting that going, but we eventually were able to get that streamed.
Okay, and then the comment about folks outside, anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000
Mhm.
people that were outside, they were outside the room, or were they outside the building, or
Yeah,
what
they
was?
were in a patio area, if you will, between near the buildings, so outdoors. And we had different stations set up for video recording and court reporters and such. And
Okay.
then there were others that were gathered up in
Okay, and
different areas.
the folks that were outside the physical building were there because of lack of seating internally, is that?
Correct. We had RSVPs that we collected, and we tried to honor as many of those folks that RSVP'd first for seating.
Okay, so and I was gonna ask you about the RSVP, because I heard a comment about that earlier. So the RSVP was to get a head count, is that
Yes.
what it was, so we could see how many
To
seats?
see what we were gonna have at the forum.
Okay, and those RSVPs were taken up until what point to Monday that you were able to accommodate the people that you did?
I don't have the exact date, but a few days before, we had to let folks know that we were at capacity and that they would be able to participate online.
Okay,
But they were
so
still.
in
but-
advance of the event. I just want to make
Correct.
sure people didn't show up having an expectation that they had a seat, and then they were standing outside.
Yeah, we tried to get the notices out that it was at capacity.
Okay, okay. that makes
Question?
sense.
Quick follow-up to you?
Yes.
So I'm not asking any questions about Venture Strategic's participation, okay? Mine's only about, well, your answer will depend, so I may not be able to participate depending on your answer, but my question is, how is it decided when the question cards, right? People had to submit questions via card.
Yes.
How is it decided which questions would be ultimately asked and answered?
Okay. At the forum, we collected the question cards from the audience during time that the panel was doing the presentation, and then we reserved the back half of the panel presentation for Q&A. And so we collected those cards during the time they were presenting. Jennifer Fitzgerald facilitated that for us. She brought
Okay,
it
that's
to.
Kurt Pringle Associates, so I can talk about that. Go ahead.
Correct. And then she then brought it to the moderator, which was Dr. Todd Burnett. And then he went through and we gave them in bulk to him, and he went through and chose.
Okay, so it was the firm of Kurt Pringle Associates that segregated out the questions and
No, just
decided which ones?
Collected them all and gave them all in a packet to Dr.
Mr. Chair,
Burnett.
point of information.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, Chairman Sachs.
I just want to point out that the cards were collected for the theater and for the overflow room, and I believe online was the other plastic envelope that they all went into.
Yeah, are you done, Dr. Sachs? Yes, all my question was, is every question that was asked, was the only sifting through, if you will, was to try to reduce ambiguity, like redundancy of questions, or was every question that was submitted asked and answered?
Every question that was submitted was not answered.
You all can't say that.
There were a number of them. They were given in bulk to Dr. Burnett, who was the moderator, and he looked at them and tried to pick out good example questions to ask.
Okay, so then, to be fair, there could be a conclusion that questions that were asked were somehow ultimately not publicly presented and/or answered. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay.
Except that all questions are being answered and the answers will be posted online.
Okay, that's a whole different question. That's a completely different question. That's why I asked the question as artfully as I could. When people show up at a public event, and it's an invited public forum, I know there's a cutoff period, but I think people have the realistic expectation that if they submit a question, it will be presented and answered. I think that's a fair and reasonable expectation. Number two, though, a lot of people tend to ask the same question over and over, right? So then that would be the process to try to avoid the ambiguity. But then to then say there will be, was that explained, Mr. Kramen, that not all questions can be answered tonight, but we will then ultimately answer them all and post them?
Yes, it was prior to this, at the beginning of the forum.
Got it.
That was described, and whatever rationale Dr. Burnett used, he was verbalizing as he was sorting, and it seemed like a lot of them were because it was the same question
Right.
over and over again. But ultimately, and it was announced at the forum, all questions submitted, whether online or in person, in the theater, in the overflow room, we have all of those. We will answer and post every question. We will also post what we read of it. We'll also post the original card that was submitted so that people can coordinate to what they submitted, see it, and see how it's answered.
Okay, I appreciate the clarification, thanks.
So I would just make a comment, because I was at the meeting, so I'll just make a comment, and then Director Shea. So what I saw, there were a couple of instances where Dr. Burnett pulled a card, asked the question, and then pulled the next card and said, oh, we just asked this question, and he set it aside. So I did see that. I also did see on a couple of occasions where he pulled a card and it was a lengthy written statement, but he said there's no question in this, it's just a statement. So, and that happened maybe 2 or 3 times. So will those statement cards be published also, or?
Yes, every card that was submitted will be posted. You're correct, some of them weren't questions, so wouldn't necessarily be a response to those, but everything will be posted.
Okay. And then there was that one time when a member of the public was shouting out from the audience, and he happened to have that person's question in his hand, and he said, oh, that's the one I have right now, and he answered it. So I saw a variety of responses, but I just wanted to make sure, and it sounds like everything is posted, whether it was a question, whether it was a duplicate or not.
Right, it will be. It's going to take us a few weeks probably to get everything up and answered, but.
Okay, all right, thank you. And then Director Shea?
Yes, I just want to follow up that just historically, I've been around probably too long to some folks, but I second that. But I've participated in many forums. I brought forward a Veterans Committee forum that we had a huge group of folks come out. We had a set time, 2 hours for the meeting, and we would receive cards and try to answer as many questions as possible. It's just the most efficient way to do it. But we didn't always get through that. So and I've had other political forums that people will submit cards just for an ability to make sure that everything's run fairly smoothly, and other forums that people get up and speak. So it's not abnormal to have these type of processes where people submit cards. I do appreciate the fact that our staff is going to be posting everything online, so people realize that their thoughts, because it's such a sensitive issue, that will be available online, that people can see those questions, and we are going to answer them as well, right? Okay, so that sounds good. But I just want folks to understand this isn't a unique process. I mean, this happens a lot. We have many forums in this type of format. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to respond to that.
Okay, well, let me get Director Marriott, and then I'll
Yes,
see
go ahead.
Director Ward. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Very brief comment on that, and then I had one quick question. In fairness to the moderator, who's not here to share some thoughts about Monday, it's not easy to moderate. Sometimes you'll skip a couple of questions because they're in the same realm of a previous question. Sometimes you'll skip a question because it's poorly asked. It sounds like if he was taking a question from somebody who was shouting and probably violating some rules, that he wasn't consciously looking to avoid controversy. That's just my hunch. I wasn't there Monday. I wish I had gone Monday. But So he's not here to defend himself. He may well have done a very good job. It's not an easy task to moderate with a lot of questions, and it sounds like we were visible up front and saying, hey, we're not going to get these all answered, but we are going to address them at some point. So, so job well done there. The question I have, as a relatively new board member, is it sounded like, and I think it was Director Ward commented that we had one consultant paid $1.8 million last year that's now been dropped to 30 or 40,000, and one that's gone up to the 1/8 slot. Did I misunderstand that, or is that the case? Is my first question. And if it is the case, just a little more color around that. Is it a strategy, direction change? Was it an effectiveness thing?
Sure, I can clarify that. Last year, the venture strategic contract was for 1.8 million as well, and so we want to renew that this year for the same amount. And then we added Kurt Pringle and Associates as an independent for the $72,000 retainer.
Okay.
So before.
I think that equals, I misunderstood.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Director Ward, you had a question?
I would just like to respond to Director Shea's comments. The reason that I believe this public forum was so contentious is because the way it was formatted. I believe it really should have been a public forum where people could make statements. There's 3 new connections to the I-5 that go through cities that have never been introduced in a public forum. And I believe the agency moved on too far ahead and should not have been in this process where they were talking about next steps. And I believe the public felt that also. And they were trying to play catch-up with not enough information. So I just want to comment that is mainly the format of the forum was the objection.
The format, okay. Do we have any other comments on this? So this is a Foothill Eastern only item, and I'm looking for.
It's been moved.
So we have bifurcated number 1.
Item 1, we're bifurcating.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we have a second? Okay, so we have a motion and second, excluding number 1. All in favor on
Aye.
Foothill Eastern?
Aye.
I understood the
Oh, I'm
motion
sorry.
for number 1.
Number 1, I apologize, yes.
It was for item 1.
So let's take a vote on item 1, because that's been bifurcated. All in
Aye.
favor?
Now I'll
Any-
make a motion for the
Wait, and
remainder.
any
I need to
opposed?
announce on the record, I'm not participating on item 1.
Okay, and then any opposed?
San Clemente opposes?
Okay, so on number 1 only, San Clemente opposes. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
2
So that
through
passes.
2 through 8, move.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed?
San Clemente opposes.
San Clemente opposes. Okay, so both
And then
motions
Chair-
carry.
And Chair, you have my abstention on all the items.
Yes, and then
Thank
Director
you.
Bartlett abstained from all. Okay, so, that's 18, so that, we actually got to this point faster than we had thought. So before we go into the Chief Executive Officer's report, we're gonna return to public comment. And the first 2 slips I have are for Sandy Marquez and Jennifer Powers. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Sandy Marquez. The economic damage of any proposed toll roads through San Clemente would be devastating and destroy half our city. Homes near freeways can have a price differential of 30%. Route 13 would destroy 3,200 homes. Route 14 would destroy 9,000 homes. 9,000 homes. The average price of the homes around and near Route 14 value and range from about $1.2 million, and the majority of the homes are view homes. As realtors, we are already seeing a negative impact on our real estate in San Clemente. Elected officials, have you accounted that a 30% drop in home values would decrease home equity by $3.2 billion and would reduce your tax revenue in the amount of $35 million? The damage is not worth the cost. The proposed routes will destroy San Clemente. There have been no current traffic studies to ever show that this would help relieve any traffic. In fact, all proposed routes seem to just create a new traffic jam. Mr. Cramen, your response at the public forum was concerning. Route 14 is not an independent roadway that would help San Clemente. It would devastate and destroy nearly 50% of the homes in our historic Spanish village by the sea. Dumping additional cars in a known bottleneck area will only make our freeways a gridlock, along with environmental and economic damage. Finally, the TCA has lost all respect and trust by the San Clemente residents. We don't welcome your sponsorships to any events. We don't approve your biologists trespassing in our private property. We don't accept having our Fourth Amendment rights violated by having our questions, my own personal questions, were taken from me as I was being body scanned. So I couldn't even walk in to your alleged public forum with questions. Board of Directors, the County of Orange cannot afford an annual loss of $35 million. Please stop this process.
Thank you. And then next up is Jennifer Powers. She left? Okay. So the next two speakers are Kathy Dennehy and Melanie Hogan. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Kathy, you must have submitted two slips, so Kathy, you've already spoken. Melanie Hogan and Laura, is it Conovel? So, Melanie Hogan.
Hi, I'm Melanie Hogan. I've lived in San Clemente for several years now, and I moved there for the clean air quality of life. I suffer from asthma. I happen to live in Laguna Niguel for a number of years near the 73 toll road. Well, when I bought that house many years ago, I knew that I was going to be near the toll road. Not exactly next to it, but a couple of miles, but still, the quality of air definitely impacted my medical conditions. And now that I'm close to Route 14, that is a huge issue. Nothing I ever signed up for, nothing I ever envisioned could even happen in beautiful San Clemente, that the city could be divided by a toll road right through the middle of town. It makes no sense to me. I've been in business many years. Whenever I've had to do a business proposal, you've always had to analyze the costs versus the benefits. So far, I haven't heard what the benefits of this toll road are of many of the options outlined. And maybe at some point we'll get to hear that. But clearly we need to understand traffic studies, environmental impacts, and I know this part of this is going on now, but at this stage, for there to be this much discussion in a public forum to not have those details seems alarming to me as a resident of San Clemente. Clearly, you know, the health impacts are huge. I mean, there's just so many impacts, and you know, I don't understand. I know the toll road bonds get issued to fund this, but how are people going to even buy those bonds without understanding what the revenue stream is going to be in the future? So, love to understand some of that at the right time when we can do that. Clearly, Route 14 is, in my mind, not an option. Going through the middle of San Clemente, you've heard a lot of discussions on that today as to reasons why we don't believe that is a viable option. If nothing else, what I just heard on the revenue impacts, huge to the cities. Why haven't we looked at options behind the protected spaces down into San Diego? I haven't heard any discussion about that. I think we heard a brief discussion today, but I think that's something that if we're trying to connect a north-south option, that should be considered. And I know I looked at your website and I see that you are committed to excellent customer service, improving mobility, and preserving our quality of life now and in the future. So I like that. And so I appreciate that you guys are going to give us excellent customer service through more public forums and also preserving our quality of life now and in the future. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, I'm not going to comment. Obviously, it's going to take too long if we comment on every speaker, but I just want to make mention, just in case Ms. Hogan wasn't at the forum or in previous meetings, but this is the very first stage. This is the initiation phase. So this is the time when we're taking suggestions in from the public to start those analyses that you're talking about. So for example, at our last board meeting, we had 17 options that the public had submitted, and then we added 18 as a result of Director Ward's comments. And then at the forum, if you were there, for those of you there, someone had called out another option, so now there's actually 19. So this is the phase when they get submitted, and the comments about not liking number 14 or yes liking 18 or whatever happens, this is as we're going through the analysis. So this is the very beginning of the process, and that's why you're going to see. It's just that there's been so much public comment. It's getting to the point where people are wondering how much longer they can submit their suggestions. And I think at the forum they said up until the year 2021, was it, or what was the how much longer can public comment be submitted?
Well, the
suggestions.
The process that we will follow will include a number of opportunities up through the purpose and need and alternative scoping, as well as then review of a draft environmental document, where it's only after that point that we get into a final document and prepare any recommendation to bring to Caltrans and this board of directors.
Okay. So that's the correct terminology. You said initiation phase, or is that what we're calling this?
That's what we currently are in, is the project initiation phase.
Okay, so we are at the very beginning. Okay, so I think I pronounced your name incorrectly. Is it?
Close enough.
Okay.
Laura Conoval.
Conoval. Okay, sorry. Please.
Thank you. Okay. My name is Laura Conoval, and I'm an 11-year resident of San Clemente, businesswoman, local volunteer, and mother. One key issue that has not been mentioned by the TC in any way, or at least that I've seen, is the public safety impacts of the proposed toll road. There are studies done by the National Highway Transportation Board that point out the expected public safety impacts of every mile of road in urban, suburban, and rural areas. From a public safety perspective, car accidents on freeways are labor-intensive operations. Every accident requires a police or highway patrol response and 2 fire engines and an ambulance to respond. The engines respond in opposing directions to locate the incident. The responding crew that arrives first begins scene stabilization and treatment of victims. The second engine takes a position behind the first to further enhance crew protection and scene safety, then assist with stabilization of victims and mitigation of the incident. The police response is geared towards scene safety and preliminary investigation into origin and cause of the accident. Every incident on a highway is unique, and they always require many people to stabilize. I bring this up for this reason. There's been no discussion on the public safety impacts on the proposed TCA toll road extension. Using the example I just made, and assuming the incident takes 45 minutes to render safe, that would mean that 2/3 of the available resources in San Clemente will be tied up on the toll road managing that incident, leaving 2/3 of the city without an effective fire force for other issues. Under this scenario, response times for medical emergencies will suffer greatly, as would response times for structure fires and other emergency incidents. These degraded response times will have potentially deadly effect. In addition, Highway Patrol and OC Sheriff's deputies will be tied up for extended periods of time, and operational plans for public safety in our community, it does not consider the needs to have a response to new freeways. Further on public safety impacts, the proposed toll road will cut right through wildland-urban interface areas. Statistics show that roads such as these lead to an increased risk of fire in the wildland and urban interface areas. If that same car crash that was mentioned earlier started a fire on the freeway that communicates to adjacent vegetation, because of the degraded response times, the ability to mitigate a wildfire will be hampered, potentially leading to a catastrophic fire. The Laguna Beach fire of '92 was started by a car fire. Public safety also includes law enforcement and community policing efforts. The proposed toll road will impact local policing models and will draw resources away from their area of responsibility to deal with toll road-related issues. Further, the toll road will create a corridor for those that want to come to our community to commit crimes. Currently, the design of our community does not lend itself to criminal activity, as there is one way in and one way out. Dropping a freeway in the middle of the community opens the door of opportunity for those that want to get in and out quicker. And you know what? I've seen all of you. It seems like you're shaking your head and you're agreeing with a lot of what we're saying here. And oppose this. Start opposing this now. Please, we implore you, and we will continue to call, fight. We're going to mess this up, just so you know. Please have it on record. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next 2 speakers are Stephanie Ramsey and Lara Francisco.
My name is Laura Francisco, and I am a 13-year resident of San Clemente, an Orange County business owner and founder with 24 employees, an emergency medicine PA of 19 years, and a mother of 3 young children. I speak to you on the topic of mitigation. I would like to know how the TCA plans to address the mitigation concerns for South Orange County. The routes proposed are taking our open spaces defined in our municipal master plans and zoning designations. These lands were purposefully set aside and not allowed to be developed, yet you feel that the TCA should be able to take this property in our neighborhoods, our communities, and our city? I'm here to ask you how and why. When you go about eminent domain efforts and land swaps, what land are you planning on using to replace it with? I am not sure if you have driven our neighborhoods, but there is not much land that could be swapped. Through our mitigation credit, you seem to think is available in any adjacent zones. And what about our reserve areas? These are our largest and most treasured spaces where our walking trails, family fun, and exploration occurs. What lands have you found that could replace these reserves for the mitigation that will be required? Tell me, how have you addressed the destruction of the existing open space that will harm our wildlife habitat, ecosystems, and watershed? How do you plan to mitigate that? The old alignment was very destructive to the watershed and open space, but the new routes are even more detrimental to the environment, watershed, and critical and threatened species, and pose an even larger problem. So why would you consider these routes? I often wonder if the TCA has even looked at these areas they drew these lines on the map to destroy, because if you had, you would know there is not enough left for mitigation land within the same zones that could allow these routes to even be viable options. I ask you today, please stop this process. This process is going to cost a fortune. This process has no viable routes. This process would not alleviate traffic. This process is lacking in logic, as proposed routes were clearly not selected based on solid data or viable studies. By year end, when the I-5 widening project is complete, the traffic we have all endured in San Clemente for years due to highway construction will be a thing of the past, and I truly hope this flawed process is as well.
Thank you. So that the next 2 speakers are Wendy Schrone and Ava O'Keefe.
Good morning. Is it still morning? It might be afternoon by now. In the spirit of trying to come up with solutions, I think, and I appreciate the whole concept of the public forum, and I think the community is really looking forward to when all that data is culled and reported online, but also to get a sense of security that the data is being reviewed by you. And is it really part of your decision-making process? So that's a piece that I think we'd all love to see once we've had an opportunity to go through, which I'm sure were thousands of questions the other day. When we talk about solutions, I don't think we know what the answer is yet. I think we're still looking at solutions. I'm going to give some ideas of where we can start. We don't tear down houses for toll roads. I don't think anybody in this room is willing to do that when all said and done. We've asked that very specific question to several of our elected representatives, and consensus is no one is comfortable with that option. We don't build toll roads right up against existing homes, really for the same reason, because for all intents and purposes, you might as well have torn the house down if you put it within close proximity to the home. We don't take already set aside land as preserved open space to put a toll road through. If we have not allowed a prior developer to fully develop their property because we wanted them to set aside open space, then what is the message to future developers in Orange County if our government can come in and take that land at a later date? As a conservative, I think that property rights are really important, and I'm sensitive to the fact that if a developer isn't able to fully develop their property, then that's it. Another developer can't come in later on and mitigate that mitigation. We need to wait until the I-5 construction is finished. You know, we've been doing this for several years. We don't really have an idea specifically of what the benefit is going to be there. We probably underestimated the benefit of La Pata opening. which is good because it's been wonderful for South Orange County. We need new and current traffic studies. In the past, we haven't always gotten those numbers right. So we need to look back on that again. What I suggest is that as a JPA, all of the member cities come together and come up with a cumulative arterial road plan that really reflects where people go to work. SCAG tells us that only 3% of the people in Orange County go to San Diego to work. Most of us are working in Orange County and LA County. So our plan needs to reflect where people go to work. And lastly, we can't solve San Diego's regional traffic problem. We cannot put toll roads in South Orange County so people can get to the zoo on the weekend. So obviously, we need to solve that greater problem, which we all know exists. But that's not something that we could do as a county. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Could I ask, as the speakers approach the microphone, if you could identify yourself so that we know which order we're taking?
Sure. Hello, my name is Ava O'Keefe. Contrary to what some of you think, I'm not a professional activist. I am a mother, a wife, a businesswoman, and the president of the board of the Reserve, representing 419 homes who are terrified about what is happening. I also have 2 undergraduate degrees in engineering from the University of Florida and an MBA from Pepperdine with electives in finance. I got all this while working full-time, raising two kids. I worked extremely hard as there's thousands of people that are affected by these alignments. I'm also the mother of a child with a hypersensitive immune system that was critically ill and spent 3 weeks in ICU, a CHOC, and then a Mattel Children's Center. Thank God he's all well. He was here in the audience a little bit, but he had to leave. Public input at the public forum was concerning. A disabled friend of mine was told to spread her legs to search for contraband. My things were confiscated, and when my husband said something, he was told not to speak. To me, those are fourth and first violation rights. Do like Darrell Issa did on his town hall. Let people ask their own questions. How about that? Caltrans' mission is to involve the public transportation decision-making in response to federal laws and regulations that emphasize public engagement. We're gravely concerned that these decisions have been made in a vacuum. What is equally concerning is that we have heard that Caltrans, District 12, has agreed to allow the TCA to participate in a pilot program with the Federal Highway Administration to substitute the CEQA process for the NEPA process. That kind of pilot program is unheard for a public project with this level of controversy and opposition and unmitigatable environmental impacts and legal history. According to the Southern California fiscal 2017, TCA will be receiving $7.2 million of Demo Safety Loop federal funds for the 241 connection. Okay, it's legally required to comply with both CEQA and NEPA, not one or the other. In addition, the settlement agreement was approved with any kind of public input or review by elected officials or citizens in affected jurisdictions. I ask you this morning to stop this process. It must not continue. It is physically irresponsible and does not stand a chance of ever being completed. The residents of South Orange County do not want this destroying the resource we call home. You will be also getting a resolution from the Reserve. We have the exact same conditions as Rancho San Clemente. These things happen in my home country, Venezuela, a communist country run by a ruthless dictator. Don't let this happen here. Stand with our reps, Pat Bates, Bill Burrow, Darrell Issa. No tolerance through established communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So the next 2 speakers are Sean O'Keefe and... Okay, and Mark, it looks like Wallach. Is Mr. Wallach here? Okay, so I'm gonna mark that down. And so Sean O'Keefe and Ken Glasser. So Sean has left.
So he's coming.
Okay, so what if I put him back further? Okay. So then Ken Glasser and Michelle Schumacher.
Hi, good morning. I just wanted to recap for you the civil rights infringements on Monday's
I'm sorry.
Public Forum 3.
Is Ken Glasser not here? Okay, so he's not here. Okay.
I'd like my time restarted if possible.
Okay, why don't we restart your time, and could you identify yourself, please?
Sorry, Michelle Schumacher.
Okay.
I just wanted to recap for you the civil rights infringements at Monday's Public Forum 3 process. The various conditions imposed by the TCA to participate, forced removals of items of clothing or accessories, seizure of personal items like papers, note cards, my questions I wanted to answer, have asked. Those denied public forum access were left to comment alone to video or court reporter, but the event that free speech was stifled by inappropriate release, a release the TCA required us all to sign. It gave the TCA fine print authority to modify and manipulate public opinions captured by video. Many walked away when seeing this fine print, their speech denied. These and the other TCA behaviors show how, again, this process is flawed and disenfranchising. This process they're forcing us to abide by. There has been no public input. For some reason, we want to push this process at all costs. This morning, I give to you, we've got 4,034 signatures on a petition for this not to happen. You want to talk about public input. The ascertainment study represented 45 people, which is not representation of an entire county that you guys are here to represent. These were surveys collected just in one day at the public forum from all the people that you're disenfranchising. Let me give you a summary of some of the questions. Do you think the toll road should be built through San Clemente, San Juan Capistrano, Ladera, or Rancho Mission Viejo? Out of 709 people, 94.8% said no. Do you think the new toll road is acceptable if it endangers threatened animals or habitat? 690 people said no. Do you support the new toll road as the best option for climate change, greenhouse gas reduction, or future transportation technology? 703 people, 93% said no. Do you believe underprivileged and lower income groups in our community will be served? And 93% believes that no, if this road is so needed, even though you guys have not demonstrated need, based it on study, included public input, then if it's so needed, then it should be used by all. And by God, it should not go through and destroy communities that are so beautiful. You cannot take these back. There are 6 areas in the world right now, most in the United States, trying to take down their freeways because it causes economic blight and it's unpleasant. It makes for bad air quality. You're proposing putting it by 6 schools. Who does that? I know that it's not who you guys are or want to be.
All right,
So
thank you, Ms. Schumacher.
And I'm happy to provide any and all of this. I've given you the surveys. You're welcome to this data
So
too.
the
but
next 2 speakers are
more than
Elizabeth
45.
Porter and Kristen Ashwood.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question of the CEO. Mr. Kerman, can you explain that allegation? What did you make people, or what were people requested to sign?
So, for the video statements,
This is like outside to capture
outside, so
people's
giving the
comments?
video statement, people were asked to sign a standard release because it allows us in the future if we want to use those and summarize or anything like that. However, every raw footage that was taken will be posted on that, but the release allows us to, if we want to summarize or use it in any other manner, that's why it was part of it. But it's not meant to alter what was said. And in fact, all of the raw data, all the raw footage will be posted. But if in our other uses of what that is, if we want to use portions of it or parts of it, if we didn't have that release, that would actually be in violation of what that was said. So it allows us to do it for both, but 100% of every video recording that was made will be posted in its raw format on there, but we also preserve our right to be able to summarize and use it for other purposes.
But are there other purposes for other, like, CEQA analysis or legal means, as opposed to we can use it if we thought we wanted to for advocacy from the agency's point of view? In other words, are you telling people you could cut it up and then they could be used, for example, they would be potentially be a spokesperson? Wait, you guys, please, let me just get my questions
Yeah,
out.
no, that's not the intent. It's, for example, if the board asks for a summary of the public meeting, then it may be appropriate to do excerpts from that to characterize to you guys what went on, something like that.
Okay, and then the other allegation about taking people's questions from them, what's
Yeah.
your response to that?
So the security for the event, we were guests of Saddleback College, so we were following the rules that were set up by Saddleback College for meetings and things like that. The security entering into that, so there was basically a wanding contractor
I don't
who
care
was
about
under
that. I get that. I'm
Yeah.
asking about why were people's pieces of paper notes? Is that
Right.
true? They were confiscated?
So initially, when the lines were going in and the campus police were monitoring and managing that contractor who was responsible for that, a number of items where pieces of paper, if you will. So the campus policy is like no signs, no posters, anything like that. So when that was observed by the campus police who were supervising this contractor, they said, no, they can bring those in. So at the very beginning, as they were kind of getting calibrated, that happened in a couple of instances and it was immediately corrected.
Okay, you guys can't, I get it. Okay, this is the only thing I'd ask, is that if those of you who testified today, what you're saying is part of the public record, and it gets denoted. But I would just ask you to transmit, if you were willing to email, all of our emails should be available. I would like copies of some of these allegations, and you can just forward them to some, if you'd like. I want to read what you're saying, because I'm very disturbed by what you're alleging. It's very disturbing to me. But hold on, I'm asking the CEO to respond. He's going to write a memo to us about this, apparently. But the allegations on their face are very, very disturbing. We do not do things like this, Mr. Kramer. Even if you sub out a location with somebody else, they don't get to impose rules that are in violation of how a public agency gets to act. So we're responsible. Like if we use a facility and they take things from people, that's on us. We don't get to say, oh, they're a sub. So we really, really, really need to get a handle on this. And I would say that if it is found that some of these allegations are true, whether it got quote unquote recalibrated later, we probably owe a real deep apology to the community on this, because man, you do not do things like this to people. So if it happened, then I think we should know, and we should really prepare as a board to potentially issue a public statement that we deeply regret it if it's true. I mean, I personally want to be on the record apologizing for this if it were to have occurred, because this is not the way we treat people. And look, we can have differences of opinion. We all do all the time. But Mr. Comey said this today in his testimony. I heard him. We do live in a country where we can have deep, deep disagreement, but we still don't disrespect each other's inviolate rights, which we call our, First Amendment rights and other rights. So when somebody tells me that their Fourth Amendment right to search and seizure, unlawful search and seizure, is violated, that's a serious, serious allegation. So we really need to know what happened. We need to know that it's not going to happen, and we need to know what, if any, remedy we should explain to the community that if we hold a future community event, it's not going to happen again, and we're going to take every measure to make sure it doesn't.
Mr. Chair, if I could just say something, if there are, written allegations, I think they should be sent to the, to our CEO or to, I'm sorry, what?
Clerk of the board.
The clerk of the board. Then it can go to our city attorney, who needs to make this, decision, needs to look at it. We can have an update. I don't think we want to be accusing anybody on any side right now until we get all the facts. And if there are serious concerns, then I think our city attorney, our agency attorney needs to meet with us, and we need to discuss it. But I really don't feel that just in this forum that we should be all of a sudden accusing our staff of something that we don't even know yet. So I'm a little concerned about where this discussion's going. So, but I do want to, I think that we need to get that information, and then we need to go through the proper process to evaluate it.
Mr. Chair, real quick, and I don't disagree with Director Shea at all, but somebody dropped it here when I was turning in this direction. When you say to somebody, quote, I grant Get Moving Orange County, a project of the Transportation Corridor Agency, the irrevocable worldwide right to use, produce, modify, distribute, display, perform, transmit, prepare derivative works from, and exhibit such recordings and allow others to do the same in any medium now in existence or hereafter created, in whole or in part, without restriction or limitation for any purpose the organization and its agents deem appropriate, that is completely inappropriate. That is so offensive. I had never seen this until right now. You don't say to people, come and share your point of view, and then we can manipulate, modify, use for any purpose, and for, manipulate for any purpose, and you have no legal right to say that what we did is you can't do that to people. If you're gonna have an open forum and you're gonna allow disparate point of views to be expressed, then you just say, hey, we welcome all points of view, and just understand that for purposes of sharing with the board of directors and other legal issues, we may need to share your information, but you don't get to say that we can manipulate it in whole or part for any purpose as we deem appropriate. That's like basically, welcome to our event, but we will completely screw you over in terms of what your message is. That is not what we do. No, please. This is just flat out wrong. It's flat out wrong.
Mr. Chairman, can I please ask a question? Not that I don't appreciate what you're discovering, but this is public comments. This is not a time for someone to be, responding, going back and forth. I just feel like the format that we're following right now with Director Spitzer, taking this on and starting to give a legal opinion, or whatever opinion you're giving. I haven't even seen the document. I don't think this is time for discussion. So I think that I would like to hear from our general counsel. Isn't this public comment? In public comment, we hear from the public, and we don't have directors just going on and on and on.
Well, that is correct. If something is not agendized or directly related to an item that is under discussion.
So if we
We
could
would
have
be
the
more
chair-
we would be more than happy to review this issue and provide input to the board, but this is not the best forum in which to do so, because such an opinion might involve legal advice, and that's something that may be covered by the attorney-client privilege. So we'd be
Right,
more
and
than happy
I'd
to
like
look at
see a
this
copy
issue and
before we're
provide
going
input.
off on a tangent here, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Shane. Thank you, Mr. Joseph. So let's return to public comment, because we're after 12 o'clock, and we do have about 10 more comments. So we're back to Elizabeth Corder and Kristen Ashwood. I'm sorry? Oh, okay. Okay, so Mr. O'Keefe first, and then Elizabeth Corder next.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. First of all, I just want to thank everyone that's involved here for making a commitment to be on the board from all the communities around the neighborhood, or around South Orange County and Orange County, because we really appreciate your time on this. The two key points I want to talk about. I'm a resident of San Clemente. My name is Sean O'Keefe. I'm one of the ones that strongly opposed to alignment number 14 for several reasons. And two things I'll bring up is, we brought up ethics. I kind of heard something ethically kind of come up a minute ago. I'm a wealth advisor. I have my own firm, and I'm a certified financial planner. So ethics in my world is really big. Okay, so the two items I want to discuss is the land near La Pata that is called mitigation land. Okay, that's the land that another developer, which I live right behind, one of those hills there, has given to our city in mitigation to have open space for them to be able to develop and build homes. One of those homes actually I own and I live in behind those hills, built by Shea Homes. It's a beautiful home and have some great walking trails right behind it. Okay, so it's a great area, great neighborhood. It's in severe jeopardy, and I just think the fact that even the consideration of that land being remitigated and maybe taken away from us and used to put a gigantic toll road right through the middle of it, splitting the city and taking away what we thought was our open space is in my opinion, unethical. Okay, so I seriously want you to consider that and taking that alignment off the table. Second part of that alignment option is San Clemente is the second most populous neighborhoods in terms of retirees, Newport Beach and San Clemente. Okay, I deal with a lot of retirees myself, and end-of-life situations that happen with retirees are they can run out of money. Their biggest asset is their home. When they run out of money, they have to take a reverse mortgage on their home, or they might have to sell their home to pay for long-term care expenses. for living, okay, because people are living longer. So what's happening is if this road goes through our neighborhood, an existing establishment, thousands of homes, potentially retirees in our community, will be affected, and their home values could go down as much as 30%. Who knows? And no different than the credit crisis, if someone has to sell something when the asset level is down 30% to live on, it's a dwindling problem for them, debilitating for them, their families. And that point is going back to the ethics. Is it really something that you think that that upper left-hand corner, if everyone can turn around, that's what we're going to be ruining, the upper left-hand corner, with that middle right-hand toll road right behind my home. Retirees and the re-mitigation of land are two things I just believe are not ethical in making that decision. So please consider taking that alignment off the charts. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Elizabeth Corder.
Hello. It is critical the TCA considers the Santa Ana's mountain lion population in determining the viability of any of these proposed routes. As you may know, historically and currently, this native population of mountain lions makes San Clemente's open spaces, hills, and ravines a significant part of their habitat. The National Mountain Lion Foundation and UC Davis mountain lion biologists have recently designated this population as extremely threatened, being called the most threatened and isolated population in the United States, perhaps rivaled only by Florida's panther population. Experts note that since its inception, the 241 North has been the leading killer of the extremely threatened apex predator. Recent compelled mitigations by TCA to the existing 241 northern section have been successful in some locations but have failed in others. Further, even if these mitigations on any road reduce vehicle roadkill, the remaining number of breeding adults has already been reduced to critical levels by 241 roadkill, depredation in some areas, and more recently by extreme habitat loss and habitat fragmentation. Experts also note the devastating impacts of habitat loss and fragmentation that are now driving declining genetic diversity. Inbreeding pressures that further threaten the Santa Ana mountain lion's survivability. Did you know that in just the last 2 months, 5 breeding adults were killed by vehicles? Even with a fully mitigated new road with fences and undercrossings, the 241 extension will still have negative impacts on the Santa Ana mountain lions. Not enough is known about why some mitigation undercrossings seem to work and others simply do not. Despite the TCA taking your victory lap in recent environmental awards and marketing materials, all those pats on the back do nothing to actually protect the threatened species. How do you plan to mitigate negative impacts of a new roadway from light, noise, particulates, noxious emissions, and roadway contaminated water effluent? We can provide numerous documented sightings of mountain lions in the habitat surrounding and touching our neighborhoods in San Clemente. We know there are other species that have similar environmental dynamics in our areas, but the Santa Ana's mountain lion population is a critical and sharply focused immediate threat, making the viability of any of these proposed routes impossible. In closing, I would like to take a moment to thank our elected officials and other public figures who've spoken out against all these proposed routes. Senator Pat Bates, Assemblyman William Breaux, believe that the proposed alignments could irreparably harm the quality of life of affected communities and will oppose toll road extensions that would tear communities apart. Assemblyman Breaux further declares, I will also not support any toll roads through eminent domain that remove families from their homes. Any new toll road must have the support from their city elected officials and its residents. Others in opposition include Representative Darrell Issa, who has a bumper sticker on his car that says no toll road through San Clemente. Congressional candidate Doug Applegate states, I'm proud to join the citizens of San Clemente and South Orange County in saying no to the toll roads. Toll roads that bisect our communities, run near schools, through protected natural space are not the best laid plan. You claim to be seeking public input. Well, let us tell you once again, as the city of San Clemente has already told you, the TCA, you should abandon ill-founded, terrible ideas, not study them.
Thank you. So the next two speakers are Kristen Ashwood and I believe it's Rod Gantus. Okay, so Chris. I'm sorry. So we're still getting through the list. Okay. So those two speakers have left. And so the next two speakers are Jason Miller and Amanda Quintanilla.
Hello, my name is Jason Miller. I'm an archaeologist and paleontologist and a longtime resident of San Clemente. We've already heard lots of discussion on why it's a bad idea to go through San Clemente, but I'd like to add a couple more. Archaeologically speaking, San Clemente is unique. We have the potential for deposits at very great depth. We have known deposits in San Clemente of archaeological remains at 28 feet. This is very unusual in Orange County. We also have the oldest archaeological site in Orange County, which is over 12,100 years old. There are potential deposits that are even older, as recent finds in San Diego indicate, up to 130,000 years old. In addition, we have a meteor impact site in northwest Talega in San Clemente that destroyed the first inhabitation in San Clemente of people. In addition, we also have significant paleontological deposits. Some of these have unique fossils that are indigenous only to San Clemente, and you will need to mitigate against any destruction to the paleontological record. In addition, as was mentioned earlier, there are numerous faults along all of your proposed routes, in particular along number 14. So it's a very bad idea to continue to pursue these options as they currently stand. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any, Mr. Cramen, about the archaeology or paleontology in San Clemente in particular.
So we're just taking public comment and not
Okay.
engaging in a
Oh,
discourse.
he's not allowed to do that? All right.
Thank
My
you very much.
apologies.
So we have Amanda Quintanilla, is it? And after will be
Yes, my
Brad
name's-
Stipe. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, excuse me. My name's Amanda Quintanilla. I'm a San Clemente resident for the last 46 years. Also a registered nurse of a 33-year career. I'm here to oppose the toll road and ask you to remove option 14 at Pico Avenue, Avenida Pico, and those proposed in San Juan Capistrano as well. These are two historic cities and should be preserved. I was raised with morals and principles set forth by my parents, as well as supported by Monsignor, the late Monsignor John Caulfield, who was friends with the late Cesar Chavez. And I mention this to you because I'm not afraid to speak up, even though right now I'm more furious than anything else. I'm here to address the way we were treated at the June 5th, 2017 TCA meeting, where our civil rights were violated. First, before going into the McKinney Theater, we were separated by gender, which is discrimination. Because simply it is separating based on gender, and it's offensive to the LGBT community. Second, our purses and belongings were searched, and we were asked to remove stickers, papers, were confiscated. And they confiscated one of my papers as well. There was an 8.5 by 11 paper, red in color, that stated no toll road. Then, once we were separated based on gender, the security asked me to open my legs to scan me with the metal detector. She asked me to open my legs wider. It wasn't sufficient for her. I told her that I could not because of my hip issues. I've had 2 hip surgeries, and I've continued labral tears, and I've been deemed disabled because of that. Fortunately, a person came to my rescue and she stated, "What is she going to have there?" This prompted the security guard to stop. I'm wearing the exact same dress, a red chiffon dress, which is sheer enough to know if there was any contraband between my legs. I felt violated. And you are all responsible for this because, and that venture company, whoever sponsored this, and whoever hired the security, because it was not Saddleback Community College, because I spoke to Todd from Saddleback College, And he said, no, those security guards were not the ones that did the security, with the wet metal bond. I called the ACLU and also the National Criminal Justice Reference Service, who is sponsored by the Department of Justice and other programs as well, and other departments of the United States. She immediately said to me that she had never heard of this, of the way I was treated.
Well, I thank you for your comments. I'm afraid we'll have to stop there, but as was suggested, I hope you're going to submit them in writing as well.
I will follow up with a letter, yes.
Okay, thank you. So the next speaker is Brad Stipe, followed by Zola Tolosa. Is Mr. Stipe here? Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Zoila Tolosa, and I want to first off make sure that I'm recorded, the minutes are recorded that I am 100% opposed to alignment 14, 17, and 13, and I ask that it's taken off the map completely, and that the studies that are going on, preliminary, formal to come on in the fall, be completely pulled off, and all the spending that we're doing to be done, and to put our efforts into a plan that will provide an arterial solution for our city and our entire county. I've been a resident of San Clemente for 17 years, and I'm a mother of 3 children. I was shocked at the decision to abandon the green alignment, also known as Alignment 15, the southern connection to the Interstate 5. When we bought our home, my husband and I, Alignment 15 was disclosed in our escrow documents, and we never, ever gave it a consideration of being alarmed because the alignment was reasonable. It made sense. It was behind everything. Talega wasn't even in the works, or it wasn't even developed, but it was already in the talks when we moved to San Clemente. So let me figure out where I'm at here. So, okay, so those are the areas I was not concerned, and we purchased our home and decided to raise our children in this beautiful city. You claim to be transparent with the people, with the public. I'm a busy mom, working mom. My own fault, I own it. Ignorance will never happen again. I allowed myself to believe that elected officials would represent the people in the best interest of everyone involved. But yet, your organization went and settled with the San Onofre Coalition and gave away the one and only possible solution for all of Orange County to relieve the congestion problem. That is now your problem, not the residents of San Clemente, San Juan, or Ladera Ranch that are being told that we're going to be totally obliterated with roads and taking over our high school and affect our ozone layer and all of the things that we have so been blessed to be in San Clemente. So I oppose that, Mr. Kramer, and I want you to remember my face. I have children, I'm a human being, and all of these people here in the thousands of Orange County oppose what you and your organization are trying to do to us. So it's not gonna go well. You claim to be transparent, so I totally disagree with that. You used a study of 45 people to represent what you claim that the 18 alignments have been feedback from the people. Who would ever come up with alignment 14? Those alignments have been on the potential map since 1991. So please, I ask you, Lisa Bartlett, stand up for the people and do not move forward with any of these processes that are continuing to destroy our town. Thank you.
So thank you. So the last 2 speakers, unless someone else wants to submit a slip, are Desiree Ledoux and Patricia Holloway.
Thank you. I think a lot of us have really acknowledged everything that we all feel today, the residents of San Juan, San Clemente, Ladera Ranch, and now Rancho Mission Viejo. My husband and I are 35-year residents of San Clemente. and I'm here to express my concern and opposition to the TCA's proposal to extend the state route to the 241 and run it basically through two historic communities of San Juan and San Clemente. I have lived here my entire life. I do not want to move. But my home is situated in between the proposed 17 and the proposed 14. I want to raise my kids in San Clemente, the place that I grew up, the town that I call home. My husband and I are very active in the community. We coach San Clemente Little League for the last 4 years now with our son. My other son swims at the aquatic center, plays at the park. He's only 4 years old. He has some health issues. We're still discerning what is going on with him. But running a toll road over a park where hundreds of children play, swim, baseball, soccer, run, football, you name it. Every sport is played at that park that we just spent millions of dollars to build for our children. And we're gonna run a toll road over it? How is that healthy for our kids and the next generation of our children? I don't understand why we cannot wait to establish alternate routes after the I-5 has been constructed and it's been completed. And if you really need a toll road to get to San Diego, to dinner, or the zoo, then consider connecting the 241 to the 15, bringing it down to Route 78 or 76. And if the real problem is going north and south, then take east-west roads and make those public roads better, but use the toll road to handle high traffic inland Empire traffic to San Diego and connect those to the back of 78. The city of San Clemente is not responsible for the traffic jams of San Diego. After seeing some of the evidence of the June 5th meeting and talking to some of my friends of what happened to them and their First Amendment rights being violated, and I think the woman that came up and had the guts to speak out about what happened to her, because I don't know if I would have handled it the same way, so I thank you for that and your courage. It was supposed to be a fair and balanced forum, and from my perspective and many others, it was not that. The TCA, you're only adding fuel to our fire. The city of San Clemente, the city of San Juan, we will not back down. We will only get stronger. We see you in our hills. We see you around town. We know you people, and we know your corruption and lies that you guys have been trying to pull over us. You are now against 3 cities. That's many constituents who have voted for you. And you have the responsibility to act, and you work for us. Someone had said that earlier today. You work
Thank
for
you very
us.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the final speaker, unless there are any other slips from the clerk, is Patricia Holloway.
Yes, my name's Patricia Holloway. I've lived and worked in San Clemente for over 30 years, and I now represent San Clemente on the Capistrano Unified School Board. I'm adamantly opposed to any toll road alignment that drives through San Clemente, including the proposed 13, 14, and 17 routes. San Clemente has 10 public schools that educate nearly 10,000 children. It's my responsibility as a school board trustee to protect the health and safety of these students and all children in district schools. I, along with trustee Amy Hanachek, take this responsibility very seriously. Amy's boys and my athletic young daughter, who has asthma, attended San Clemente High School. Our high school is already heavily impacted by the Interstate 5 freeway that you can see, hear, and smell from our football, track, baseball, and soccer fields. Busy Avenida Pico is 6 lanes wide and runs in front of our school. Can you now imagine a 6-lane tollway flying over our football end zone? San Clemente is proudly known as the home of the Tritons and should never become the home of the toll road. Of course, San Clemente High School isn't the only school in town that will be negatively affected by the toll road's noise, air pollution, visual blight, and destruction of voter-protected open space. That's why I announced to my colleagues last night that I'm submitting a resolution to the Capistrano School Board on June 28th asking for a vote to condemn any and all toll road alignments through San Clemente and any other part of our district if trustees so choose. I join with Mayor Kathy Ward and the rest of the San Clemente City Council in my fierce opposition to the toll road, and I stand with every parent who has a child who learns in our schools and plays in our parks. Finally, I strongly suggest you hold your next public forum in San Clemente, and I'm offering San Clemente High School as that location. Thank you.
Thank you. So, do we have any further requests to speak?
No, we don't.
Okay. Well, I want to thank the members of the public who came and who were so patiently waiting as we made it through an extensive list of speakers. And that brings us back to our agenda and to the Chief Executive Officer's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to report on traffic and revenue for the month of May 2017. Let me preface it by saying that in May of 2017, there were 22 work days and 9 weekend days, as opposed to the prior year where there were only 21 work days and 10 weekend days. So that does influence that had a positive influence on this month's results. So for the Foothill Eastern Corridor, transactions were up 9.1% and revenues were up 11.9% in May. And for the San Joaquin Hills Corridor, transactions were up 6.9% and revenues were up 9.5%. We had some milestone days on May 15th. The San Joaquin Hills and then the combined numbers for both agencies set a record high for the system. On May 19th, San Joaquin Hills set a record high for a Friday, all-time high for a Friday. And on May 13th, we had a combined high for a Saturday. And on May 20th, we set a record high for traffic on a Saturday for the Foothill Eastern system. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. So, just in summary, to what do you attribute the other than the number of days, the peaks in traffic?
Just the continued recovery of traffic following the recession and I would say the spread in the peak time on the roads as well. So we're seeing more sustained traffic throughout the day. We're seeing increased traffic on weekends, increased traffic on non-peak hours, as well as our peak hour traffic on both systems. As the unemployment is very low, that's a big indicator for traffic on our roads and just the continuing economic recovery that we're seeing here in Orange County.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions for Mr. Kramer from the board? Yes, Mr. Spitzer. On his report?
I do. So, Mr. Kramer, just so we're all clear walking out, or at least I am when I walk out of here, what's your understanding of the follow-up that the board has directed with respect to how the forum was conducted? What's going to happen next in terms of the assessment?
I think we will discuss some of the issues that have been raised today and then prepare a response that we can bring back to the board.
Okay, so then we will agendize this for discussion. So I agree with Director Shea, her admonition. It was getting a little too that she's right. That wasn't agendized, so she was right to cut it off. So I want to make sure we're going to get a follow-up about all the issues that were at least alleged, right, by various speakers and others, however that came to the forefront. You'll write a staff report and then it'll be agendized so we can discuss it?
I'll work with council to determine the appropriate way to bring it back to the board.
I know, but see, that's my concern, because I'm not dumb. I have a feeling you're going to put an attorney-client privilege stamp on it, and then you're going to try to keep us from publicly discussing the issue or having the potential. This is so important, the allegations, that if Mr. Joseph makes a decision that the agency may be exposed to potential liability or potential litigation, then I would ask that it be agendized in closed session. But I also like it agendized for public discussion simultaneously, so that if there are issues that we should discuss or want to discuss in public that wouldn't necessarily be privileged or expose us to litigation, we should have the option to do that. Pursuant to our bylaws, any director can direct the clerk to put an agenda item on as long as it's done prior to the agenda being formed. So I'm going to put it on as my item. So I'm asking the clerk, as under Director Spitzer, for the next board meeting, to put on for open discussion the public forum, and so that it'll be properly noticed. And then if staff wants to strike my name with my permission and put it on as theirs because it's been worked out, I have no problem with that. But I want it on there for, I want a placeholder, not a placeholder, I want it on there for public discussion. I do not want to be limited to a response discussing these allegations, limited to necessarily, unless we really do have great exposure to potential litigation. I don't personally want to be limited about what I'm going to say because somebody put the stamp of attorney-client privilege on a document. I'm not going to be limited. I will tell you, I'll be very clear now. Based upon this document here and based upon my personal feelings about it, I personally am not going to be silent. I mean, if I think you should make sure that this document that I don't even know how I got on my next to me, but that if this document was passed out, we need to have a conversation about it. And I'm not going to be limited to what I say publicly because somebody put attorney-client privilege on a document.
Okay, so it sounds like we're past questions on Mr. Kramer's report, or did anyone have any questions on Mr. Kramer's report? No. Okay. All right. So now, do directors have any reports that they would like to make? Director Bartlett?
Okay, so I just want to direct CEO, as we start to move through the CEQA NEPA process, based on the comments that were made by the public, I'd like to receive within the next 90 days or so what your plan is for the next phase of public outreach to ensure that we're going to allow for every opportunity for public input into the process. And you can report back to me, you can report back to the board, but I think I want to be comfortable with the plan moving forward so I know that there's an adequate amount of public participation at every phase.
We can do that, and we'll work with Caltrans as well as our partner in this process to help prepare that response.
Okay, and you can even get that on one of the upcoming agendas so that the public is also noticed about, you know, what we're planning as an agency and how they can participate. Great, thank you.
Any other reports from the directors? No. Okay, we do have closed session that we're going to adjourn to, but before we do, I'm just going to take a brief moment to thank my colleagues and the staff. This is my last meeting, and I've enjoyed serving on this board tremendously for the last 4.5 years. I wanted to just express how what a pleasure it's been to have the opportunity to work with council members from around the county, to work with supervisors, and to really work with a top-notch staff who supported us in everything they do and provided us with accessibility if we have individual questions on our agenda. They have held individualized briefings for us. They've offered tours. They've made this a tremendous learning experience for me. I think the first meeting I had with the DCA was with Mr. Kramer when he was the chief engineer. And I had an opportunity to sit down with him and suggest that we form an environmental committee. And, you know, true to form, this agency took my comments as a brand new director, and we formed an environmental committee. And I think that's one of our most popular committees now. So I want to thank the staff for being open to input from even new directors and to supporting directors who've been here for many, many years, and helped us to succeed and to see some great successes in even just these last few months. It's been a great opportunity, a great experience, and I just want to say thank you very much on my last meeting. Thank you.
And Chair Chun, I know that our other chair, Ed Saxer, Foothill Eastern, had to leave, but he tasked me with providing the commentary for the presentations. And I just want to say that I've known you for a number of years now, both when I was a Dana Point City Council member and now as a county supervisor. It has just been a real honor and a privilege to work with you. You're very thoughtful in your process and all of the boards and commissions and everything that you've contributed to along the way. You just have a really good approach to governance, and you take a fair and balanced approach. You always listen to everyone and listen to both sides of a story before you make a decision. And I've just really appreciated working with you for the many years that we've been able to interact together. And thank you so much for your contributions, not only at SCAG, but also to especially to TCA. We've covered a lot of tough issues over the years, whether it be alignments or budgets. And we've had a number of board members come and go over the years. But you've been a real steady source of good information and kind of a steady hand, voice of reason over the years, and provided great input into the process every step of the way. So, on behalf of myself, I just want to tell you thank you, from the bottom of my heart for your commitment. And being a TCA board member is a huge time commitment. It's not just the board meetings. We have a multitude of ad hocs and committees that the board members also serve on. And Ross has always volunteered to serve on many of those ad hoc committees and other committees that we have here at TCA, and you've just done a fantastic job. So thank you very much on behalf of both boards. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I will now attempt to read the tiny print that I think is on the resolutions. So today is Ross Chun's last San Joaquin Hills Transportation Corridor Agency board meeting. He is stepping down to enable another Aliso Viejo council member to serve on the board. Ross joined the San Joaquin Hills board in January of 2013 and was elected chair and served from July 2015 until today. Ross has been an active board member on numerous committees, including, bigger print, yay. Okay, hold on, let me transfer over. Ross has been an active board member serving on numerous committees, including chair of the Finance and Investment Committee and the Joint Environmental Committee, which he proposed and initiated. He also sat on the Joint Strategic Planning Ad Hoc Committee, Joint Toll Operations, Joint Marketing, and Joint Capital Programs and Projects Committee. Ross was TCA's representative on the Southern California Association of Governments, known as SCAG, the Regional Council, where he served as vice chair of SCAG's Environmental and Energy Committee. We have two mementos for you today, Ross. The first is to recognize your service as a San Joaquin Hills board member and includes the Fast Track logo because TCA is the first to offer electronic tolling in California and created the Fast Track brand now used throughout the state. The second recognizes your service as chair of the board of directors. So Ross, on behalf of everyone at TCA, the board members, the staff, and all of our vendors, we thank you for your leadership, and we look forward to seeing you out and about in Orange County.
Thank you. So with that, we're going to adjourn to closed session.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we will be convening closed session to confer with legal counsel regarding the items listed on the agenda, and we do anticipate reportable action on the last item.
Okay. So do we have any reportable action, Mr. Joseph?
Yes, we do, Mr. Chair. While in closed session, the board unanimously voted to authorize agency counsel, Nossaman LLP, to defend the action entitled James E. Watkins v. California Department of Motor Vehicles et al. Orange County Superior Court case number 30-2017, in which the plaintiff makes various allegations relating to the impoundment of his vehicle and the agency's toll violation and enforcement procedures.
That's great. Thank you. So with that, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Second.